Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and welcome to episode 288 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
It's me, Karak with ACG.
And I'm Dustin with Last Stand Media and Handsome Phantom. It's good to be back, boys.
Yeah, I was about to say, man. Took the words right out of my mouth. It's been multiple weeks in the making now. It's good to have the gang back together here. It's clear we all haven't gotten together in a while because normally we just get back into the show, but we had like a pre-show where we talked for, really it was Karak and I talked for about half an hour, and then we got here into the recording. So, gentlemen, it's good to have you all back here. My jaw is certainly a little exhausted from these solo shows, so I'm happy to have you all do some of the talking for me. For those of you who are new, just tuning in for the first time ever to H.A.M Radio Podcast, this is just a laid-back, chill gaming news show. We just take the big hitters of the week, we talk them down, we share our thoughts. Really relaxed. If you want to support that, you can go to patreon.com/MrMattyPlays. Buck will get you early access. $3 will get you into the Discord where you can submit your questions. We have them all at the end of the show, and we answer your wild, crazy things there. But with that general promotion stuff out of the way, gentlemen, I mean, what have you been up to? Karak, I know you and I have talked weekly because of Defining Duke, but Dustin, the stage is yours.
Whoa. For me, well, I don't know. I'm staying very busy now since I think we've had one show together since the rebrand of Last Stand, right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Oh, because I missed one, didn't I? Because I had the migraine the one day.
I'm not even being a dick. You guys missed a lot. So, I mean, I lost track.
Have we?
I lost track. Yeah, at least 2 weeks in a row, I did solo shows, and then
really?
Don't know if,
I
yeah,
thought.
And then,
because I called out with a migraine, and I thought Dustin was still coming because I hadn't talked to him yet, and then I found out the next day that he got locked up with the premiere or the render or something like that.
It was upload
for the upload. Yeah,
upload. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I mean, we've been very busy, putting out tons of content. We just launched Defining Duke Ultimate for Last Stand patrons, which is, again, at the $1 level, you get 2 extra podcasts a week. So it's just an insane value there. I started Twitch streaming very regularly now, and it's been going pretty well, better than I thought it would ever do. And I'm currently streaming Dark Souls Remastered, which we can talk about that once we get into what we've been playing. Other than that, though, I mean, just kind of in the doldrums of winter right now. Getting, it's weird. I think last week I had a little bit of the seasonal mood affecting disorder, whatever it is, sad.
Affective disorder, sad,
yeah. And I don't consider it, saying seasonal depression feels too strong. It's just sometimes feeling kind of out of it for me. But this week has been really good, so I don't know. It just kind of faded away, but other than that, pretty good.
Good. I'm glad you're doing well. Karak, I kind of know the answer, but I mean, how the hell are you doing?
Awesome as always. Incredible. Unbelievable. An accelerated program of excellence.
Wow.
That's what I'm living right now. No, I mean, just came off the review, had one day yesterday where I relaxed, which was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I had people, hey man, you want to play games? I was like, you know what? No, I don't want to talk to you. I was messing around in Discords and just I did some podcasts, but you know what I mean, where you're not really looking and not dragging through internet websites to find data on some stupid leak.
Of course.
So that was awesome, and got to review Werewolf, which was decidedly not awesome. Unfortunately, I don't even. Now I know how Cyberpunk fans feel, and then it was actually a little bit. It was honestly, I always know what it's like to be a fan and have it not work out, but I actually felt this keen in my little sliver of a heart. And then what have I been doing? Oh, we did the D&D podcast, which has been awesome. And that's it. Really have not been watching shows. That's usually, I just sit back and sort of defrag.
Have you watched WandaVision at all?
A little bit of WandaVision. I got episode 3, I think.
That's what I'm on as well. Yeah, I gave it a shot before the show. And I described it as Tranquility Lane, the show, which is extremely up my alley. I've been enjoying
is that up
it.
Your alley? It's a little bit less up my alley, but I'll continue watching it.
I get why people who are big MCU fans were not hot on it first, but for me, the style, the music, the filming techniques, just that very classical approach, I love that. I thought it was very fun and different, and I'm excited to wrap up the rest of the season tonight after this show. So see what happens to Wanda and Vision. But yeah, other than that, let's see here. What have I been up to? I have been reviewing Persona 5 Strikers. Still got a lot of time with that left. Can't say more than that, but yeah, I have that for a decent amount of time to chip through over time for the final review later on this month. What else? I mean, yeah, it's just been kind of a lot of work, between Mass Effect and Knights of the Old Republic. It's been very gratifying work because these are series that I've been a huge fan of all my life. So it's been really exciting this time around to just talk about these games that I've grown up with and have a community that wants to share that. So it's been a lot of work. And then when I'm not working, I've been doing some writing, gentlemen. I don't think I share that a lot, but I'm a writer on the side, not like crazy amounts, but that's kind of been the skill I excelled at in school was English language arts, as they called it. And so I've been doing that a decent amount now, just putting some ideas on paper, testing some things out, and seeing where it goes with a little storytelling. And I've been really enjoying that. So been reading Light of the Jedi, 9 chapters in. Really like it. I don't know. A lot of people are down on High Republic, and I'm going to put a poll out on my channel and see why, because I'm not seeing it yet. What the problem is. Is that really it?
I did mention it today in my stream, and we did have somebody drop that. Of course, I attacked that right away. I hate that kind of shit. I was like, real stuff is woke. That's not. But I have heard that. That'll be the second or third time I've heard somebody say that. I don't feel like it is, but
I genuinely, like, usually I have a radar for that kind of stuff, and I haven't caught that. I feel like I'm seeing some interesting species with lightsabers that I've never imagined before, like a Wookiee with a lightsaber. I'm like, to me, that's cool. But
it is until he spins it and burns his fucking hair off. But
right. No, you're not wrong. I mean, yeah, there was like a Rhodian Jedi, and I'm thinking to myself, this is cool. I'm digging that, because I think of KOTOR, where the Rhodians usually had like vibro blades and stun batons, and that was it. So imagining that, but they have a lightsaber. Yeah, it's kind of neat. So I've been enjoying that. So much so that I bought Into the Dark, because I've heard that's actually better than Light of the Jedi, and it's a little more mature, where this is more of a typical heroic story, and Into the Dark is a little more gritty. So I'm looking forward to reading that. But yeah, been doing a lot of different things really lately, trying to hone my skills, expand the vocabulary, engage my mind elsewhere. But with that, I guess what have you guys been really playing? I know, Dustin, you said Dark Souls. I'm playing Persona. Karak, unless you're reviewing something, are you able to say?
I'm reviewing what you're reviewing, but I'm also doing a bunch of Neo too.
Oh, dude,
a bunch.
I gotta get that game just to support it. I like, once they said that they're not going to do more Neo, I thought, I get it.
Yeah,
I understand.
That depressed me, man.
But because it sucks.
It does, and I gotta say, I tell people, it's like with Neo 2, I personally believe if you have had issues with all of these kind of games in the past, other than maybe a Dragon's Dogma, which on high difficulty can feel a little Dark Soulish at times, but Neo lets you face a couple guys at the starting that you can brute force through if you're not great. But when you defeat somebody and they die and you have a restful moment, usually your brain can then take what you've learned and sort of figure it out, instead of dying and then resetting, seeing a dead screen and starting back over, where your brain doesn't get a chance to sort of digest what you just did. And with Neo, you do get a chance. And I think that's one of the big positives of this game. You can jump in. I think there's 1, 2, 3, like I can sort of count them in my brain. I think there's like 1, 2, there's 3 or 4 before you get to like anything that's really difficult. And I think that's awesome. And I love it, man. I just love that game. Like it fucking is so fun. The Kirasagama, all the different weapons.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I got to make sure this isn't a bed being delivered. Go ahead. Nope, but that is what I've been playing.
Oh my. Oh my. So he's going to answer. He's going to answer right here.
Did he mute himself?
He's like frozen, just leaning back, staring at the ceiling. This is
not a bed.
Not a bed?
No, dude, I don't know about you guys, but it's just so many fucking, I use this as a honeypot so I don't have to worry about it on my cell phone. It's just thousands of fucking, spam calls. And this was like
Oh
some,
my God,
it's
yeah.
like
We've been trying to reach you regarding your car's extended warranty.
That's exactly what it was. But it sounds like somebody recorded it at the bottom of a well or in a bathysphere in the Mariana Trench.
I admire your patience. You sat there and actually listened for a good 7 seconds before hanging up.
Well,
I don't even
gotta
pick
make
up
sure
the phone
because I bought an expensive bed because I've had a problem sleeping for the last 15 years. So I'm like, I bought a good bed for the first time in my life. I normally sleep on the floor. So I was like, I'm going to buy a bed.
Dude, I'm 6'2", and I slept in a twin for most of my life. So yeah, I get that. I invested in a full side bed.
Yep, this is a full size. This is the fucking beep, 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 but like it's got mechanical shit. It doesn't separate you because a wife and a husband. I don't like the idea. I'm not joking by this. I don't like the idea of a wife and a husband in a medical bed, like separate. Right. That seems like at that point might as well just check it off as roommates. So we got one that's like you're together, but it can raise up and it can, it's got the multiple sensors. It's almost like a sure number bed where somebody says, my number is 7. Somebody's like, my number is 1. And you have different, because I like a fucking rock hard bed, man. Like I want,
really?
Yeah, just a little bit below plywood is what I like. Like I slept on a Japanese mat for years. The best back experience of my life was sleeping on that. And then now I sleep on something that's just not working for me. Hasn't for a
sometimes
decade.
I mix it up. Like I find myself when my back's messed up, my parents have a way more firm mattress than mine. So I'll just lay out on that for 20 minutes and it just does something, man.
My couch is very good for that. So if my back hurts, I have a couch that's awesome. And I'll go to sleep on that. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully. Beds are expensive. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I bought one last year. Yeah.
Christ. I saw the price and I was like, oh, too many zeros. I should call them to correct that number. It's like, nah, that's the number.
Because you look at the mattress price and you go, that's not bad, but then you realize you got to get a frame to fit it and everything else to support it.
Blows.
Sheets. Yeah. Fucking ridiculous.
All
right, gentlemen.
We just talked about beds for like 2 minutes. Sorry, people.
I know.
Are we talking
Let's
about
talk
more
about
games?
Mass Effect. I think, yeah. I mean, unless there's more games that you want to talk about now.
Well, we didn't even talk. We briefly mentioned them, but I did have one game that I did.
Oh, sorry.
I need to talk about, Matty. Do you understand here? Because I have to disclose though that this was provided to me by the publisher Yacht Club Games, and that is Cyber Shadow. Have you guys been checking this out at all?
I haven't, but a lot of people have been talking about it in my Discord.
Yeah, cool. So I just want to talk about it real quick, just because it's Yacht Club. They are the developers of Shovel Knight, which is a fantastic retro game. Really, really fun. And this game is actually I want to say it's their first time publishing a game. So Cyber Shadow is a game. The team or the studio is called Mechanical Head, but it's primarily just one guy. And so they've been kind of like helping him out with development and doing different stuff. But it's cool because it does Shovel Knight is sort of a mix of a bunch of retro games, as far as like it has like the DuckTales jumping mechanic and stuff like that. It's kind of a hodgepodge of a bunch of stuff.
How much I like Shovel Knight. Jeez.
Dude, it's so good.
It is. And
this game, what's cool is that it's kind of like that, only it's more leaning towards games like Ninja Gaiden. And so, it's this cool game. You play as a cyber shadow, so like this mechanical ninja type character. And as you progress through each level, you unlock new abilities, and it is really, really hard, but mostly in a good way, I would say. I've said before on some other shows that I had some issues with like the first, I think it's chapter 2. There's these moth enemies that float around. And because it is a like retro side scroller, your character just slashes. There's no up slash. There's no down slash. Well, there's a down slash later on. So if like one of these moths flies like down into your head, you're fucked. You got to you have to like navigate around. And I kind of was like, was this really the best move to have this be the primary enemy or one of the primary enemies for chapter 2? But once I got past that level, I was finding to be a much more enjoyable experience. But either way, this game just oozes quality, the quality you would come to expect from Yacht Club. It's like clear that they definitely like it's their first time publishing, so it kind of says a lot that they're putting their stamp on it. And they did a fantastic job. And here's the thing. I know Matty, you said it's on Game Pass. Yes. So anyone out there, it's on Game Pass for PC and Xbox. Or you can get it, of course, on PS4, PS5, Switch, or just Steam or whatever. But if you get it on a PS5 or Series X, it does have 120 hertz support.
Oh, cool.
So I just think that's cool. I love that kind of like next-gen support on retro games is really cool. And of course, I'm a sucker for high frame rate stuff, no matter what. Right. So yeah, this is a really, really cool game. I highly recommend checking it out, especially if you have Game Pass. There's like no excuse. If you're into retro games or into these like, modern retro games, then this is like a no-brainer.
It's so interesting because I was on Game Pass with a friend. He got Cyber Shadow and he's been enjoying it. And then he goes, this kind of reminds me at times of The Messenger. And so I go to Game Pass and they also have The Messenger. And I'm sitting there going, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love that shit. See, the thing is The Messenger was probably the more I think about it, I probably like it more than Shovel Knight, but also it's just but just not because it's like mechanically better. I think it's just some of the writing is hilarious, and I'm a sucker at times for gimmicks. I thought the 8-bit, 16-bit art style switch ups were pretty neat. But what I liked most was because you mentioned the just like the one way of attacking is just pretty much horizontal, and I liked how in The Messenger you could kind of platform while attacking, where if you did a down attack on top of an enemy, you would like keep popping up and it would refresh your jump and your glide. And I adored that, man. So I definitely want to give Cyber Shadow a shot. I was going to, but then to the shock of myself and Karak, we get this Persona 5 code like 3 weeks early, and I sit there and think to myself, well, this is what I've always wanted, right? I've wanted that time just to
wow,
kind of
that's what I've always wanted too.
Yeah. So
no one is entitled to a code. That wasn't me complaining. I was joking.
No, we know.
No, but wanting extra time, that's not entitled.
That's true. Yeah. That's not a joke for
sure.
That
would be just great.
It's just like if you want to, I'd almost rather have a company just be like, you know what, we're not doing early codes, than be like, here's a code 2 days prior for a 40-hour game, and you're like, well, that's not going to work. So
it's like, all right, impressions it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
dude,
what you got to do.
That's why you've noticed on my channel, I've dropped a couple impressions. I'm like, not even worried, not gonna fucking burn the midnight oil.
Yeah. For this thing. Exactly, man. It's just it gets unhealthy at a certain point.
Matty, I did want to comment one thing about Dark Souls, because we talked about it on this podcast, where you had said, be careful, not be careful. You were like, hey, if you do end up playing Dark Souls, it's a little dated at this point, and a lot of people won't tell you that, because it's the golden boy, Dark Souls, the original and everything.
As much as I adore it, yeah.
You are 100% correct. It is a little dated.
I thought you were going to say wrong.
No, you are very right.
Mechanically, that thing can feel really like, almost like there's 4 controls for direction versus 8. There's something about it that feels like
it's good if you start with it, but going back to it, it's
going
tough,
back
man.
to it can be rough.
Oh, and to be clear, is that like as I'm playing it, it's like it's a very analytical experience. I'm like, I could see this thread of an idea and how it expanded into other games from software
and Bloodborne. Yeah.
Right. So I am very much enjoying it. And I have a huge respect for the game, for what it did at the time, and it was so adventurous in it's ideas and doing things that had never been done before. But man, sometimes I'm like, my character is running through molasses. Like it's just and then so I didn't know about that. This is kind of like a meme status. There's this part when you're in the is it Anor Londo, the castle with the archers.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm all From Software games have points of being like this like meter of like annoying and frustration that eventually becomes satisfaction. Dark Souls has the highest concentration of this is so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
And when I beat it, it's not satisfying. It's just like, thank God that's over, which is like the wrong feeling in my opinion. Whereas in like, other games like Bloodborne, stuff like that, they got that balance way better.
Yeah, nothing's wrong with that game. That game's perfect.
Something's wrong with that game.
Wait, what?
Dude, Bloodborne? Fucking micro stutter in that game is so ridiculous.
No, you're right.
You're right.
That.
So ridiculous.
bad.
They need to get it ASAP. They need to patch it for the PS5.
Dude, I don't know why that wasn't a first thing.
I know.
I think it's coming.
It may be coming, but I would honestly bet that there's something technical. Obviously,
there has to be.
Dude,
Yeah,
Digital
I
Foundry
would imagine at this point.
Huh?
Digital Foundry worked with this hacker
Right,
who figured out a way to get it to run.
I was going to say the problem is the way to get it to run was actually not like just fixing something. It was way overpowered to get it to actually even out those frames. So what I'm saying is maybe the PS5, for whatever, I'm just saying maybe to get it to be able to do it all and then even it out, maybe there's something there where it needs an even faster CPU or it needs, something to that effect. But yeah, I did see that and it looked good. And the modder got it running at 60 as well. But again, it's when it's like you start seeing them throwing 3080s at it, or whatever to get it. And you're like, okay, well that might be a little difficult.
Isn't it amazing though? Have you ever seen a game where there's been a demand of, hey, we just want 60 frames and that's it? Like normally it comes with a couple, you could boost this, you could do this,
I think that game just disappeared. That's the thing, Matty. It came out, it was loved, and then Dark Souls 2, 3, blah, 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 all these other games, and people are still looking at Bloodborne going, I'm not quite understanding why.
Yeah, why it was like
left,
almost forgotten.
Was the ending, as somebody who just had to throw that, I was getting sick playing it because the micro starter, was that a game though that when the ending happens, it was done or something? Do you guys remember the ending? Was it maybe where they were like, it's wrapped up?
Justin, you could probably speak more on that. I beat it twice, but it was more so the enjoyment of the experience. I couldn't tell you about the ending, really.
I think it's perfectly wrapped up, but it's also perfectly able to be continued in some way or another.
Gotcha.
Whether
I remember there was one fucked up ending, wasn't there? I'm trying to remember.
I'm trying to think.
It doesn't matter because we can't speak with context anyway at this point. But yeah,
I think
I recall something like that.
I think they're gonna do it. I mean, we're seeing like this rollout of Sony first and second party games getting some kind of PS5 support. We just saw God of War get which again, this is a different situation because it's second party, and I mean,
but still,
the thing that I'm wondering is that Dark Souls 3 did get PS4 Pro support with an unlocked frame rate. So, and those games are built on, basically the same technology. You'd have to assume since they're both two of the three From Software PS4 games. So, I don't know.
Makes you wonder why the microstutter was induced in that and then not in the other. Additionally, they ended up yesterday, Sony took the stake. 1.3%, right?
I saw that.
Software now. So maybe that was a payment. One of the things we talked about was that possibly a payment for an exclusive, or was that just them saying, hey, we want to give you some cash and invest in you? Who knows? But it could be. Yeah, it was yesterday. I think it was 1.3%. It was a weird, I think I remember reading it going like, that was an odd percentage. That
seems very specific. Yeah.
It might have been 1.5, but regardless, hopefully it's coming because that's a title that I would love to experience. Microstutter normally doesn't affect me. For whatever reason in that game, it really did. So I would love to jump into it. I'm hoping big time that they figure something out. Or
they're probably, once they know they can get Elden Ring going, and
that's another thing.
Yeah, I just feel like that might be, because my guess, and it's just a guess, is that game had to have shifted to next gen. I think they were making something, they were on their way, and they
Elden
said,
Ring?
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, they're not impervious to any type of development troubles, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like the way they revealed it and then just went completely silent, I think they had like oh shit, we could do this.
You have to imagine that the Demon's Souls remake is actively being discussed and viewed and thinking like, we gotta at least come close to some kind of visual quality as this, or a performance or something. Like, if we launch a game and it's significantly worse than that remake, then that we're gonna look pretty bad after that.
Right. Yeah.
Let's talk Mass Effect.
Yeah, I was gonna say time will tell with that. Let's talk a little Mass Effect though, gentlemen. So This week was really owned by Mass Effect entirely. It was the announcement / confirmation, full reveal, whatever you want to call it, of the Legendary Edition, which packages in Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, 4K. They haven't really commented on the frame rate all that much yet.
They said up to 60.
I don't like that
not
terminology.
Locked. And neither do I. That's what I was telling people in the video. It's like, do not, up to is not the same as locked.
I think it'll be locked on next gen.
Probably.
I do not.
Which is weird.
Really?
Okay, so I guess I want to make sure that we all, when I say locked, I really do mean locked, Dustin. So, like, they might call it locked, but then they'll be like, oh, except for it drops to 50 in cutscenes. I'm just saying I don't think it'll be 100% locked all the way around. And the reason, because it is Unreal 3 still. They did not. It's still
they
that
thought
old
about
engine.
Moving it to 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
about moving it to 4.
I just have a feeling there's some stuff going on in the back end that might. But I'd love to be wrong on that one.
Yeah. They've also brought in 40 plus pieces of DLC. Pretty much everything is there, excluding one DLC, which Demiurge could not get them the code for, and it came completely broken. Yeah, Pinnacle Station could not be included. So that's not there. But a lot of people didn't seem to like that from what I've read online. In fact, I got to be honest, when I saw that name, I went, wait, what? What is that? And I looked up and went, oh, it was this one. But yeah, that one isn't really a huge miss. There's still all of the amazing other pieces of content there with the game. Mass Effect 1 looks to be getting the biggest overhaul of them all, from graphics to the character creator being retroactive now. The default Femshep from later entries in the series is now in Mass Effect 1. She looks fantastic, by the way. BioWare posted a side-by-side of both Femshep and Male Shep and Female Shepherd. I'm definitely playing as her. She looks great. Not only that, they've tweaked the camera. They've tweaked the HUD. They have changed the Mako controls, just everything. They've rebalanced weapons, rebalanced XP payouts. They really went pretty hard with Mass Effect 1, unearthing it and tweaking a lot of things. Mass Effect 2 and 3 have received tweaks in the sense of visuals, but from what BioWare is saying, it looks like that's going to remain mostly the same outside of 3's multiplayer being left in the dust. They said it would have taken the same amount of time as Mass Effect 1 being completely fixed up for them to get 3's multiplayer over to next gen. So that is bullshit. But anyway, pretty much that is the stage set for what's going on with Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I've talked about it in 3 videos this week, so a lot of people know my thoughts. I'm very excited about this. I am very much looking forward to, because part of it's exciting outside of the game. To me, I find some of the excitement in that, hey, we finally have a moment where BioWare's not being laughed at. And I know that sounds like a dick thing to say, but it has been kind of embarrassment after embarrassment. It's been nice to, and even if it has to involve them going back and familiarizing themselves and giving birth again to this franchise, it's been nice just to see people go like, sweet, this isn't Anthem being broken. This isn't Anthem leaving its Christmas decorations up. This isn't Andromeda's My Face is Tired. This is just, hey, Mass Effect was really good, and we're happy it's coming back. And they're doing, on paper, we don't know what it's going to be like when we play it, but on paper, it looks like they're doing the right things with Mass Effect 1. So I talked about it quite a bit on my channel, gentlemen, but I'd like to pass it off to you. What do you make of not only the changes to 1 mostly, but overall the Legendary Edition? I know, Karak, you've played a lot of Mass Effect. Dustin, is this your, I don't remember, is this your first time?
No.
Would this be your first time?
No.
Would not. Okay. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure.
So hold on, Matt. Here's the thing, though. I want to agree with you about this, saying, we can be happy for BioWare in this moment. But, like, if I go put around posters around my town to say, hey, come check me out breakdancing on this day, and then everyone's like, this is going to be awesome. This guy's going to breakdance. And then they show up, and it's a fucking shit show of embarrassment, then it's kind of that excitement is null and void. So I don't want to be a pessimist. I'm just saying that, like, BioWare is still like, all right, we'll wait and see about this, like this remaster, because
I get that.
There's already, I don't agree with it necessarily, but I even saw you tweet about it a little bit about some of the creative decisions they're making as far as changing up some of, like, the way the environment looks and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, they changed Eden Prime's art style is how I describe it. You know, the light box is different. It's a lot more bright out, where in the original Mass Effect 1, it was a dark red sky, and you could tell something was brooding, and it created atmosphere. Some people have tried to argue lore is why this makes sense, because you do return to Eden Prime at a certain point, and it is all bright and fine, and it is more lore accurate. But I think when the Reapers are starting their invasion in literally the first mission of the game, that the red sky helps symbolize the incoming threat. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. To me, it felt like a bunch of artists got new tools. They said, make everything look better. They gave them this part of the game, and they did exactly what they were told, just they weren't involved on the ground floor on those creative decisions that made sense then and didn't update them, I think, properly now. I understand why some people think it looks better. In fact, one of the top-rated comments on my video when I complained about it was, wow, it looks so much better in Legendary Edition. A lot of people don't like the red sky. So I think that's just kind of a good way to describe a creative decision in its own right. Some people are going to like it. Some people aren't. I sit on the side of the fence that doesn't. The other thing they changed, and more people than I ever really imagined got pissed off at it, but I should have expected more. Or shouldn't have expected as much. I think you already know where I'm going with this, is that they've removed some ass shots of Miranda. Sometimes the camera.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't support this.
Yeah, right. I was just like, I am not buying this game now. The thing is I at first I got where people were coming from, because Miranda was like genetically engineered to be very attractive. And that's kind of the core of her character. And it gets deeper than that. She starts talking about her interactions with her father and how that kind of connects to her backstory. And it's very sad. But while they're doing that, BioWare's like, look at that butt. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I kind of get why you would say that like part of her character seemingly is her how she looks. But at the same time, the actual camera angles themselves spotlighting it, I don't think it needed that to really deliver what her character is all about. So on one hand, I'm like, I think this is a smart choice, because, you know, who cares at the end of the day? You know, for those who are like literally freaking the fuck out, right, you can just add her in your party and that's it. You know, you can look and gander all you want. But yeah, a lot of people were up in arms about this.
Well, I just feel like
changes.
What's weird to me is, first of all, we don't know the extent of the changes. They may have just like flipped around a couple, you know, whatever shots or whatever, that it's like you said, she's talking about her relationship with her dad. Do we need an ass shot at that moment? Right. Maybe that's a better change. So, and I think you're right that it's like, honestly, it really doesn't matter. I just don't know whether or not, like, maybe this is a larger cultural question. I'm like, I thought we all liked asses.
I'm just looking up Miranda's
ass
wiki page in the meantime. Karak, what do you make of some of the changes coming to the series while I get some more data for us?
I don't care if people have an issue with Miranda's ass. I mean, that camera was so far up there, it was like a colonoscopy. Like, it was up there a lot. And I would say that's fine. Yvonne worked her ass off to be mocapped for that. She was pretty proud of it. But one of the things is that Jack is braless and topless at one point, and I saw somebody being like, man, are they gonna, you know, is it all about that? Are they gonna also, or what if they don't remove Jack? It'll just show us that like butts are bad. It's not about that. It's like what you said. If there were bad camera angles, they were bad camera angles. I will say that it's weird that people mention that. We talked about this prior to the podcast. Sometimes you shouldn't make a deal out of something. And I don't know how butts got brought up. If it was a reporter who brought it up, well, then that's on their dumbass. Like, that's completely on them. But if it's on the creative director answering questions, then they probably just should, you know, just be like, we're adjusting some camera angles, and that's it. And then if they're removed, they're removed. I believe I read, though, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read, and the interviewer asked about asses 3 times. I don't think I'm going nuts. I'm almost 100% sure last night. No, but it was not like one question. It was like, there was a lot of this. Are we doing this? And then somebody answered, and there was a lot of this. And I don't think I'm having a dream. I'm pretty sure last night before I went to bed, I saw that. So the thing is, I mean, I get where Dustin's coming from, and I get where you're coming from. Personally, what I would say is, if I were them and I'm adjusting those, I would be prepared for the one thing that's going to come up, which is that especially in current English, all English-speaking countries, one of the problems is that people are really stupid in their comparisons, and they don't understand how to compare. So somebody will say, oh, you remove the butts, So why is Jack still topless? Those are actually not comparable. They're for completely different reasons. And if you strengthen the argument of against removing the butts, but you don't use the Jack complaint, you're actually going to have a stronger argument. And the argument could be then looking at it and saying, well, was it her ass that they were looking at, or was it the other character? Because, by the way, I've played that part and I saw a video of it yesterday, and it wasn't like staring in her butthole. It was her butt right here walking by.
I was reading, and all I heard was that, and I was like, wait, what the fuck is
the camera going beside it? So it's like, you know, and I would also say this. One thing that people are going to measure is those changes versus any possible issues. So what you need to know is if you spent a single cent on changing a camera angle and there is a sound glitch or there is a visual bug or there is a technical problem, the first thing you will have is somebody saying, why'd you spend all the resources on changing her ass? And that is just typical
internet.
That's that's not
moment.
Just internet. That's just people being mad at an initial thing and waiting to and not understanding that tit for tat is not necessarily how development works.
Yeah.
But I get you. Personally, I wouldn't change it. What I saw, I was like, okay, it's a little gratuitous. It is funny, but it's like she is about sex appeal too.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
another
literally
thing
reading
I didn't like.
Right here.
Yeah, every character is different. Her character is about sex appeal. That's one of the major parts.
It literally
of that
says right here, Shepard can learn through conversation that Miranda was genetically engineered. She reveals that she never had a mother, only a father who manipulated his genes to create the perfect human specimen. All of Miranda's qualities, from her intelligence, biotics, and appearance, have been genetically created for excellence.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's for those who thought we were kind of like talking out of our ass.
They tried to create an excellent ass in lore.
Yeah, that was kind of it. But yeah, I feel like removing the butt shots, I feel like you can let that part of the story deliver. In my opinion, I think it delivers a lot better that way. I don't need her to see her ass cheeks to be like, I get it now.
Yeah, most people wouldn't notice if it
now.
wasn't there. It's not going to cut anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you just kind of have to look at her face, in my opinion. You're like, oh, all right, I get it. But just my opinion.
Right. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. That's
I was about to say, I didn't even think that was going to spiral when I brought it up in passing. I thought it was going to be like 1, 2, 3.
It's spiraled beyond belief already. Yeah. I mean, that's
going to be most of our comments.
Well, yeah, and we're sort of heading, and especially me, trying to head off at the past, like, intelligent arguments against her for it versus just that tit for tat, which that just makes you look dumb. So it's like, if you have an issue with that, find out what your issue is and speak towards that. And I'm okay with that, even if I don't agree with you. I'm like, okay, I get where you're coming from. You like her ass. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. Because I also do find it weird, I will admit, that we have also had some other issues completely unconnected to this, and we can talk about this in a different video or whatever, where I have been seeing a huge number of male and female actresses and actors be mocapped and look horrendously different in the game than they do in real life. As if somebody is going in and like trying to almost make them more even versus whatever they may look. For example, Control, the main character for Control was mocapped. She completely does not look like her character. But have you guys seen the character who was Shepard, or not Shepard, but the character for Andromeda? Have you seen the
Tom
female?
Taylorson? Or the female?
No,
I haven't. No.
Look up the female model who was supposed to be her, and then look up what happened in Andromeda. Now, admittedly, Andromeda was a mess, but you get my drift. And I think that sometimes people look and they say, we don't want this person to, be too feminine looking because maybe people will think they're not, military enough. We don't want this guy to look too, like beefy because we want people to be able to, pattern onto them. I get those. I get all those thought processes, but I think at times I'm starting to notice some weird things going on some of the way the characters look and stuff, where I'm just like, why would you pick that character? Why would you mocap that person in the first place if they're going to look nothing like, like Resident Evil? Look at their mocaps versus the game. They're identical.
So you mentioned Control, though. The only reason I'm curious is that I saw this video where she's like giving a tour of the Remedy office. I feel like it looks exactly like her.
No, I watched that. No, Dustin is wrong as a person.
It shows her right beside the picture.
Look at her chin in Control. It looks like Gears of War. Look at her chin. She looks like Marcus, bro. It's so funny you mentioned, because that's the one our Discord was talking about yesterday. You really think that they look identical?
I don't think they look identical, but I think that close? It looks a lot closer than like other situations.
Man. Man, I gotta disagree. I'll look at it again.
Fine.
I'll look at it again. But her chin looks like my beard with some fleshy makeup on it.
In the game?
In the game, yeah. I mean, that was one of the first things that was mentioned was that, and her actress was like, no, it's okay. But you could even tell she was like, that's not necessarily. And they did state that they changed her. So, but even if you want to ignore that, you can then, of course, go to the Mass Effect Andromeda. And I'm just saying that we do seem to be getting this weird thing, as you guys stated, about sexuality, where it's like we're pulling back. And I'm not 100% sure you have to pull back on all of it. But I don't know. I don't know what people want. You know, we don't want hot coffee. I don't know if you guys remember that. The San Andreas sex scenes. But at the same time,
no.
At the same time, like, what do you? I mean, Cyberpunk. Yeah, I don't know. What did you guys think of Cyberpunk? What did you guys think of the sex scenes in Cyberpunk? With
here's the thing. I called it right when it first got announced about like, oh, they will have. I remember like the ratings literally said you can get head in Cyberpunk, and I thought to myself, this is 100,000% to beat the marketing drum. That you can look at what was presented in the trailers and be like, it's doing this, that. Like, let's say good storytelling. You got Keanu Reeves. You've got this gameplay here. You've got these builds here. Oh, and because they spared no effort, they also let you get head in the game. Like, they covered everything. Right? It's like it creates kind of this illusion. That's how I saw it like that. Even as someone who fucking likes the game a lot, I immediately saw it there and went, there's something up here. Because to me, that looked like wasted resources. That's just me. Some people are all about immersion. They like the first-person gameplay. They like being able to interact with the objects in the universe. If you want to fuck, you can fuck. Fine, by all means.
And I will personally say, and I've stated this since Mass Effect 1 came out, I hate relationships in games.
For me, it's about.
I don't think they're done well.
For me, it's about the character building, right? I get if people like romance, and I know that sometimes romance extends into that. So I think romance arcs can really build a character in a way where they're amazing. Like, I think Parvati of the Outer Worlds is probably the best modern example I can think of a character that, because of their romance arc, which, by the way, you don't participate in the sense that
I was just going to say, okay, because I was confused. I was like, what happened?
Not like you're dating her, but the way she engages and how she falls in love and how she expresses that made her a much more humanized, interesting character, in my opinion. So there are characters that I think can have their arcs improved through romance. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to just like a BioWare kind of Inquisition level, just, you know, two people getting it on, it's like, I don't know. It's just me. Some people like it, and that's fine by them. I don't care. I'm not telling people to go take it out. I just don't care for it. To me, it's just a waste of time.
Did you guys
fade
see
into black and call it a day?
We were joking about Mass Effect Lens Flare Edition. I'm sure you guys saw like that. There was people complaining about the amount of lens flare. There's people complaining about the color work. I think that's one of the problems is you're dealing with a bunch of people who haven't played it, who just want to play the damn game. And then a bunch of people who have played it, who I just have a feeling they're going to sour it for a lot of people. Like, this isn't what we remember. It's like, of course it's not. It's not.
Yeah, I see. The thing is I don't see any dramatic changes in a negative way that would make it not what it once was. I really genuinely don't. I think if we're going to say improving, we don't know if it's improved in how it feels or looks, but I'm saying if you're saying them going in and saying we're pulling the camera back a little bit so that gunplay functions a little smoother, if you're going to come to me and tell me changes like that, subtle little things that are quality of life enhancements are going to ruin what it originally was, get out of here. That's to me, that's nonsense. Not even like an opinion way. Just, I can't understand how you could actually legitimately argue that. And that's where it kind of ties back to where this all started. Like the people who go, the butt shots have been taken out, the preservation of the original game is gone. It's like, no, it's not. The storytelling's still the fucking same. You just get one less look at her ass. And to me, who fucking cares?
Right. But how many? Yeah, somebody should count up ass shots in the original and just be like, take it off from a 10-point score. That's what I'll do. I'll change my scoring to 10 points. And I'll be like, technically, this would be a 10, but there's 6 less ass shots in it, 9.4.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this much. It, to me, was not a thought in my head. And then it became a thing that they said they removed. Like when I thought of Miranda, she's a pretty character, but I kind of thought of her backstory more, and that was it. And I don't really think it stretched beyond that. So I don't know how much that stayed in people's heads. Because then I looked up this. I'm like, what is this scene? I looked it up and went, oh yeah, I definitely, because I played the game when it was 2010, I think. I played it for the first time, or 2011. I definitely, as a high school student, probably had something to say about that. Like, oh, cool. But, but beyond that, it didn't stick with me after that.
I think the cool thing about all this is if this does well, then you like you said in the Wednesday podcast, you could possibly see a Dragon Age 100%. Origins, Dragon Age 2 remaster, which would be crazy to see. Imagine if they were like Dragon Age Origins, the fucking whatever edition, the better than number 2 edition. What if they just remade all of them but skipped Dragon Age 2? Pretended like it didn't exist like Origins. That'd be amazing. But the one thing I hope we don't get is Ezio trilogy kind of stuff or Batman. I don't know if you guys remember the big hubbub around Batman where the update looked worse because it actually had worse special effects, which is not what I'm seeing with this at all. What I'm seeing with this is just, artists, like you said, maybe not knowing the thematic presentation of the red sky and all that stuff and thinking, let's remove it.
Yeah, but from a gameplay standpoint, it looks a little bit better from the snippets we've seen. Definitely visually, there was a comparison photo, like I said, of male and female Shepherd and before and afters, and especially the female side looks fantastic.
I'm great. I'm glad. I want to say I'm glad you like that because everybody I know hates it. I had no issue with it. Yeah, there's actually like a thing. It's one of the main things on Reddit is like, look what they did, and it shows like the old version of female Shep and the new version. People are like, how dare they?
Hair looked horrible in the older one. I thought.
Well, in the older one, their faces look like it looks like clay that's been slightly baked. Like their faces have that doughy look. This one's a tiny bit more, maybe I don't know what you'd call it. A tiny.
I'll just say
not cartoonish, just different. But
I'll just say that at least in the photos they presented, the only thing that stuck out to me was the faces looked a little shiny, like very sparkly shiny, even though you just got out of combat. It's one of my favorite things about Dragon Age Origins is you come out of combat, you're in cutscene, and your character's just masked in blood.
And trail hanging off your nose and stuff. Yeah.
Dude, I love that shit. So I know they're not going to do that, but I'm just saying that, when they come across and you can see like the makeup on FemShep, and I'm just like, interesting. You just shot up like 40 dudes before that.
And here they're also fixing the elevators, so now you can skip them or sit in them. They were like, if you want to listen to what is said in the elevator, you can, but you don't have to. You can just sit down.
Yeah, I'm going to.
The one thing, I will, of course, the first time. One thing a lot of people brought up, it's still the Unreal. Obviously, things have been fixed. 512 megabytes versus 8 gigs for memory. Hopefully, the pop-in is gone. Because I don't know if you guys remember what the pop-in was like on the original Mass Effect, but it was like, beep, 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 beep. It was just like the world appearing around you. So
pretty bad.
Yeah, especially on PS3.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm trying to see if we've missed anything here. I mean, I'm personally happy they've got all the DLC in there too. That's kind of to be expected, but I know for a lot of people, generally speaking, with BioWare games, because it was the same thing I was told with Dragon Age Inquisition when I went into Trespassers. You play Inquisition to experience Trespasser, which I kind of understand. There are actually parts of Inquisition I like more than Trespasser, but I know Mass Effect 2, 3 just hold DLC that people are very, very fond of. So I think like Lair the Shadow Broker, I think that was the name of it.
Yeah, Shadow Broker is very popular.
Yeah, that's one that people, I think that's for 2, that people just adore. So there's some good stuff in there that even I have actually missed. So, from that to armor packs, they have the Blood Dragon armor pack, which is the armor you can wear from Dragon Age Origins. Yeah, you can put that on, and that is awesome because EA kind of surprised me. Back when Amalur Re-Reckoning launched, they actually they brought back the Mass Effect style armor into Amalur, which I really didn't expect with all the legality that they probably had to jump through to maybe get something like that going. Just the fact that game released in general is shocking. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to see EA and BioWare kind of retaining even those little promo packs there. There is even no one now for future generations will ever have to experience what Mass Effect 3's Day 1 DLC is. It will just now be a part of the game, which is kind of cool when you think about it. The first landing, or what was that called? I remember.
Is that the Promethean one?
Yeah.
The world's worst fucking side character ever made.
Dude, I will always remember young Matty, GameStop, walk in, Mass Effect 3 hype. I'm just like, let's
Dude,
go.
you know, you're the type of kid that I would have probably been friends with, but consistently teased. I would have been like, Matty, what are you fucking doing, dude? You'd be like, I'm going to GameStop. Karak, I'm going to GameStop to get the Promethean. I'll be like, dude, just wait. You'd be like, no, I'm going now. Fucking put your hoodie on and shit and trudge in the snow down to your GameStop.
Look, I got teamed up on, and I remember there was a woman working there, and there were two guys, and they were just all coming at me on why I got to get this day one DLC. Dude, you would have thought my $10 fucking would have kept them in business for the next 10 years. Like it was all on the line, man. And they were like, you got to try it. It's going to be good. It adds more to your game. I'm just like, look, I'm okay with the game. I bought it to shut them up eventually. I was just like, okay, fine, whatever. And this is as a high school student with like no money. I said, here's $10 to please be quiet and
Let
get me
me
out of
leave,
here 2 minutes
please.
early. Yeah, that's the thing, man. I'm not the biggest hater of GameStop, but the rumor of them, really fucking hounding you when you're in their store is fucking true, man. And they talk to you like you're an idiot. It's pretty. Here's the thing: you can usually tell when someone comes to the door if it's like a mom shopping for a kid just by the first question they ask, versus someone like me who's like, "Hey, you got Captain Tsubasa?"
Right.
And it's like, "Oh, this guy is playing like Japanese soccer games. He probably knows a little bit." And they're like, "Do you want to pre-order Call of Duty by chance?" And it's like, no, I'm okay. I understand they have a quota they got to hit and whatnot, and that it helps them raise to, I think it's called like a premier store or something like that. Like there's ranks of GameStop stores, and they do that. They can probably stay in business as their other stores get wiped out. But yeah, long story short, I got swindled into Mass Effect 3 the day one DLC, and then I went and played the multiplayer for a while instead. So there's that. But yeah, that's really all I've got to say on Mass Effect. What about you fellas?
I don't have much to add. I just want to play it.
Yeah, May 14th. May 14th.
Wouldn't it be awesome if they had what if you bought DLC, and I would pay $100 for this, if you could just push the little kid to his death in Mass Effect 3 at the start?
You pay $100 to push.
I would pay $100. I would. What's the lawyer game where the guy points his finger?
Oh, Ace Attorney.
Ace Attorney.
Objection.
I would pay $100 right this fucking minute if you said, Karak, you can push this kid off of a cliff into some rocks and watch him slowly roll into a mulch to his death.
Oh shit.
And you wouldn't have to deal with him again.
I've had some thoughts before. I'm like, not that I feel bad for any of our shows because we do very well, but I'm like, I wonder why developers never really wanted to come on our show. And then Karak's like, I shove a fucking kid off a ship in Mass Effect 3 for $100, and I'm just like, yeah, it fucking makes sense.
Maybe not.
I know you're joking. I'm just kidding, but it's funny to think of. They're like, I'm not going on that fucking show. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't mind that and all. It's choice and consequence. That's the ultimate renegade option. You can fucking punch out a reporter for asking you a question. I mean, what's pushing a kid out of a ship, right?
Didn't they stop you from shooting the kid at the end too? Or am I wrong?
They added in the extended cut, I'm pretty sure. That
I think in the original, I think what Dustin was saying, I think you could, so that was even removed from you. You couldn't even shoot the...
I think there is, in all seriousness, a rule with video games with something with kids.
Oh, yeah. You guys heard of the Fable story, right? The original Fable? The original Fable, you could kill kids, and Peter Molyneux gave the game to one of his developers and said, go ahead and play it, and then I'll come and talk to you later. He came back 8 hours later, and the guy was doing fart noises on top of a pile of children. And Peter just went, done, remove it, now.
It sounds like
he didn't even want to, and that's from that point on. It's a true story. Peter told this story, and you're just like, oh my God. He's like, this tester just went nuts. And he was like, yeah, can't, that. So you could be right. Maybe that's it. But the kid wasn't even really a kid, right? It wasn't a child. It was a fucking construct. So, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a loophole there. Because here's the thing. It's weird. I don't want to spoil any shows, but I was watching one recently where many people die. It is an anime. Many people die.
Oh.
And a lot of them children. And I'm sitting there like,
I know what show you're talking about.
Yes. And
they get away with it.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wow, that they not only do they die, they show their bodies. And I'm like, this is fucked up, man. And I'm thinking to myself, I didn't know they could get away with it, because I don't know what game it was. But I remember a developer specifically saying, was it Fallout or something I think it was Fallout 3. They're like, yeah, we can't, you're legally not allowed to do that. Where maybe it's because an RPG and you take out the gun and do it, technically, but you can't like kill children in games or something along those lines. So, which would make sense, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense because you don't want somebody just like that sort of in poor taste.
Yeah, no,
overall.
definitely. I completely agree. Just I was thinking about the show and how they got through a loophole that other games, I don't know if they even want to, but haven't been able to, so that they can let you spend your $100 in good conscience.
Well, to be honest, I don't even hate the kid. I just want to spend $100 to get the end I want. And that's just the honest truth.
They kind of give it to you at the extended cut, yeah?
Come on! I don't even want to talk about it. Let people experience the game, and I hope they like it. I don't know what they're doing with the ending. I'll play it, and I did hear that they were changing some stuff and subtly adjusting some stuff, so I'm crossing my fingers. We'll see.
Yeah, I am too, because that was one of the questions I asked when I guess there was a preview for Mass Effect Legendary Edition where it was hands-off, by the way. People could just go in and watch a presentation from BioWare, and so there's multiple members of the press and stuff. Andrea Renee was the first one who posted that she could take questions. And I was like, did they change the ending for 3? And that's what I wanted to know. And so I don't know if that actually got answered, but presumably since they added the extended cut DLC, I don't think they're going to be tweaking that, because part of me wants to say, in all fairness, hey, retroactively, you got to go back and maybe work a couple of different things. But I just feel like it's more so considering the choices you've made and putting like 2-3 more in that spot.
I have a question. Have they stated if you can play this game? So you buy this game, can you play 2? Is it all through one menu? I guess is my question.
It's one launcher. Yeah, they confirmed that. One launcher.
Good. I'm glad somebody asked that. So that means, can I start 2 and not do 1 if I want? Have they stated? I mean,
here's the thing. I shouldn't say yes, because they haven't directly stated that, but they said all the games are under one launcher. So I imagine when you start it up, you'll have that. Which one do you want to play for? Like, which one do you pick? And then it loads up that game. So I would assume strongly yes that you'll be able to just fire up the game.
Male Shep, kill Lara, kill Talia or whatever her name is. Those 2 blue chicks. Just kick them off. Take Ashley. That's my job. Rex, maybe. Garrus, maybe.
Do you like? Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you okay, yeah. See, a lot of people don't like Ashley, but
I know, and she. You know why?
She's racist.
She's racist. She's a bad person. The reason why I like her is because she's not racist. She's speciesist. Whatever.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because everybody killed her family. That's another thing. It's the typical But the reason why is because she has an edge to her, where she changes as the game goes. If you play the game, she actually is not. And what bothers me is that the other 2 are just milquetoast. They're just boring. I just want to punch Tally's fucking helmet and break it so that she dies.
So many people like her though.
Oh, I don't care what they like. They're dumb and wrong. I'm just joking. They're probably right. Nah, it's cool though that everybody gets these. You got Garrus, right? And then you got the other ones we don't mention. You got Legion. You got the Promethean who. Yeah, I thought Legion was one of my favorites because he was like a dog, if that sounds right. Like
he surprised me. Yeah,
a robot that was like loyal to you. I don't know how to describe it, but I thought he was one of my favorites. I wasn't a big fan of Jack, or who's the dude that you try to kill right away.
I love the mission
terrible.
for Jack though. Caden's the one in the first one. Yeah, I never bothered with Caden.
Terrible character. What were you gonna say?
I just like him because he's voiced by Karth.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So there's a little nostalgia there where I go, oh man, I gotta keep Karth with me, and it's nothing about his character. It's strictly the voice.
What about the guy who talks like this? I don't want to say what's happening, but he's the lizard-looking dude, the skinny
Thane?
one, the Thane. Fucking dug him.
I just love Thane's appeal. Yeah, dude, he's dope, man. I fucking love Thane. He's so cool.
I think when it comes to a game, I don't know if you guys would agree. I feel that they did a pretty good job. All things being said, I know people can argue about who they love more, but I think when you look at the group of player characters that have been introduced through 1, 2, and 3, they did a really good job compared to a lot of games where you would only remember one character and you'd be like, I can't tell you any name of anybody in Skyrim, not a single one.
How dare you? Because I couldn't do the same either. No, I
was gonna say
what about
challenge
Lydia?
you to tell me even one. Who?
Lydia. Lydia is your partner that you.
Right, Babylon 5 chick.
Yeah.
That's true.
See, for me, and I think it's probably Bethesda's goal, but it's more so in Skyrim, to me, it's the storylines. Like, I'll talk about the Dark Brotherhood and the things that happen to the Dark Brotherhood.
Oh, right. They're not writing them to be.
Yeah, I don't know if the characters themselves.
I was just sort of teasing.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking now because I'm me. I'm thinking to myself, there are some I recall, like I think Brynjolf from the Thieves Guild I liked, but it's because like the Nightingale armor. Bethesda knows how to tickle my fancy in a very particular way.
I don't know the names of anybody in Outer Worlds, but I can tell you I think I liked all of them. Pavardi is the only one I know. I don't know any of the, but I liked all those even though they weren't, we could go forever. I don't want to go forever. I'm actually going to revisit Outer Worlds with VR because somebody got a Vorpix VR headset adjustment for it. And I know that you said last podcast or the podcast before that people were starting to hate on it
I've just seen an increased critique
of it. Dude, I'm actually sort of the opposite now, where like the more I look at Outer Worlds, the more I'm like, that might be the right way to go. In fact, we talked about KOTOR, which we'll talk about later, but what would be the perfect length of KOTOR, and the number of people that I got telling me they would much rather have it condensed than huge was 100%.
Dude, because here's the thing with these RPGs. The beauty of Mass Effect, for those who have never played it, is that these games are, one is like 20 hours. It's depending on how much you want to sink in.
Exactly.
Yeah. All these games, I think, cap out at 30 hours. Yeah. And so I think that's the beauty of a good RPG. You don't need these 80-hour behemoths. It's more appealing, and it always has been in my lifetime, that you make a 20 to 30-hour RPG that I can go back to multiple times throughout the next 2 years and just keep replaying it. That's why I loved Vampire. I played that twice the year it came out, man. Like, I dig the hell out of companies that go with the condensed route. And so, yeah, with KOTOR, we now know that Aspyr Media's budget for that game is going to be $70 million, which is a good amount of money, but I don't think that screams to us, they're going to do big, epic, open world adventure.
Exactly. It seems like good. Tight. Yeah, right.
And yeah, I mean, I think with Obsidian, they're in a really tough spot. And you're right, like we could go on and on, but I'll just say with Obsidian, because I think it's in context of this conversation, they're in a tough spot because with the Outer Worlds, people, I think, liked what was there, but wanted a lot more. And so any fucking game since the Outer Worlds has always been, Obsidian could have done this. What if Obsidian did Cyberpunk? What if Obsidian gets Star Wars? What if Obsidian does Fallout? Like, there is so much demand for Obsidian to do everything. It's ridiculous.
Let's end this conversation on an incredibly high note that I cannot see even you arguing. Wait a minute. Dustin, did you like Cyberpunk?
Yeah. I mean, as much as you can.
Didn't love it, didn't hate it. 7.5 kind of thing.
I was enjoying it quite a bit, actually, on PC. And then I just decided there's a lot of other stuff. I'm just going to pause and come back.
My thought process was going to be to say, my personal belief is if Oblivion had handled Cyberpunk instead of CD Projekt Red and Oblivion had handled it like they did Outer Worlds, we would probably be considering it a classic. And that's just, I truly believe that.
Basic kind of.
But if you took the basic way in which Outer Worlds worked, because, dude, Outer Worlds had multiple planets and a city planet. Like, it did so much more. And I get that the open world is there and the shooting is definitely better. But I think that ultimately,
let's be real, RPGs work better in confined spaces. That's just kind of
it. You have to pick apart a lot of Cyberpunk to get to the good stuff. And we got this big area that's a desert that doesn't really have anything going on. And I think that an Obsidian looking at that and saying, let's do Cyberpunk, but let's do it this way. Maybe these are 5 boroughs instead of 5 planets, right? Maybe these are 5 big locations. Because I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't know about you, but whenever anybody says you don't have to load to go between sections, I'm not always impressed. Because I'm like, well, if it's only one time, I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. Like if it's
there's like this technical striving constantly.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like a brag, like the balls out kind of thing. And you're like, well, seriously. Well, how many times have you heard you can go anywhere at any time? And I'm like, I can do that in anything. What do you like? That's no longer a selling point to your open world game. So my hope is that, like, going back to Mass Effect and stuff, is that what we get is them doing this, and then my big hope is that they learn, or that they look at this and say, we can calm things down a little bit on the next Mass Effect, because I do not want Mass Effect 4 to be even as big as Andromeda in the spannings. Instead, I want it to be more like 1, 2, and 3.
BioWare's they didn't learn with 2 of their releases with Andromeda and Inquisition is they just got to fucking quality control their side content.
No more MMO shit.
Their main content, honestly, like when I went back to Inquisition, there were parts of the story I went, this is really good. This is what I like from BioWare. I am
playing it now. I agree.
And what happens is then you got to power grind. It's like, oh God, now I got to fucking work to that next story mode.
Go back to the hinterlands.
Yeah, and you really do though. And
you do.
And that's why I made a video about Legendary Edition for Dragon Age just as a kind of a joke, but just to see what people thought. And a lot of people seem to like the idea. But it's funny that with Dragon Age, I look at Origins and I look at 2, which has its own set of problems. But I look at Inquisition where I go, hey, that could use the most tweaking, really. You know, imagine if they just power balanced and said, instead of you getting 1 here, you get 4 power. And so you get to that next story objective a little bit quicker. Because there's a major difference between being out in the hinterlands for another 2 hours versus half an hour. It's an inconvenience still, but it's way less so. And you can just get to the shit you care about. But yeah, BioWare pretty much, I hope with the next Mass Effect and Dragon Age, which I think is up next after Legendary Edition, I do think that they just need to quality control that side content more. Just give us storylines, not fetch quests.
Agreed.
All right. Good note to end it on, gentlemen. Let's go ahead and move into a little more BioWare stuff here. So Knights of the Old Republic seems to be receiving a port, 1 and 2. So this is unconfirmed yet. This information comes through the same source that it reported many years ago that KOTOR was being rebooted/remade at BioWare. What's up? Oh, me.
I was pretending you were the leaker because you leaked something and then like 10 months later, somebody pretended it was new. Sorry. Just pretending it was you.
No, at first I thought I cut out the way you said it. You're like I heard a question mark. But yeah, this came from the same source, Cinelinx. Jordan Mason, who's editor-in-chief there, he tweeted, heard some fun game stuff this week. Nothing huge and no real details. Hence a tweet, not a post. You know how Jedi Knight Games and Episode 1 Racer got a Switch/modern console re-release. Here in KOTOR 1 and 2, we'll get the same at some point this year. Note, this will be separate from the upcoming remake thingy, which would incorporate elements to include it into canon. These would just be straight up upscaled ports. So not much to go off of here, but obviously in my world, this has been long demanded, but I feel if I speak too much, it'll just skew the discussion right off the bat. So, I mean, gentlemen, feel free to take it away. Dustin, I mean, are you gonna leap in for the port?
Yeah.
Will I leap in for the port? No, because I want to play this game on PC if I play it.
Fucking bastard. Okay. That's fine.
Whoa.
That's fine. Me. You can just not play it. That's fine. No, I'm sure they'll upgrade on PC.
Going to be, that's where it probably should be played, right?
I would say because I don't know if they're going to say, here's the thing is I know with KOTOR 2, Aspyr did like a whole, they worked with the modders to make sure that day one, the restored content mod was there for people on Steam so that they could have all of that content and fixes and make it easily accessible. I'm thinking to myself, imagine if they put that just into the game. They just officially released it with that. So I don't know if they're going to end up doing something along those lines, but if not, then PC would probably be the best place to play for sure, because then you could get that mod on top of all the good stuff.
Right, yeah. I mean, this makes sense, and honestly, they already did those mobile ports, so clearly they've already been tinkering around in the code, so it's like, how hard is it really to push it over at this point? It just seems like an easy opportunity to make money and marketing synergy if they are going to unveil this, whatever this next KOTOR thing is.
Hell yeah. Oh man. How exciting. What a great year already. I can't wait, man. I've been long waiting for this. I was thinking, it's really probably been since the 360. Like 2008 is when I got it, and I remember like looking in 2010 is when I found out KOTOR 3 got canceled. And just from there, it's been demanded from my soul that something happens to modernize these games. Because I think of limited run games and how they did a limited release for, what was the game? Bounty Hunter. and I think they did one for the
right.
episode 1 racer. And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get a fucking physical copy of KOTOR for like a PS4. That's gonna be something else, man. But at the same time, that's of course my obvious opinion, Karak. As you sit there with your kind of what's that Austin Powers
Pensive.
Gold member? You're kind of just like
my pensive look. Yeah. I don't care about any of this. I like not these 2 remakes. I want to make sure we all talking about the same thing.
We're talking about the ports here. The remake is
dude, I've played
separate.
1 and 2 so many times on PC and with mods and all that stuff.
Thank you. Fuck you, Matty.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And admittedly, it is on Xbox, isn't it? Isn't it backwards compat on Xbox anyway?
Yeah. What's your point, dude?
My point is this: you believe that a jet is the same as a fucking paper airplane. Like, I don't think you're going to see much in KOTOR 1 and 2. Yeah, KOTOR 1 and 2's reboots, AI upscaling is going to be nothing compared to KOTOR 3. So what you're excited for doesn't excite me at all. I look at it and I'm just like, I've already played it. I've got it on every Android device I own. Like, I legitimately think I have that game on everything.
So you're going to buy these, right?
No, because I've already got them.
Okay.
If it was Jade Empire, sure. If it was a good game, yeah, right away. I'm just joking. If it was
wow.
But no, I would love to. I would love to see KOTOR or Jade Empire. That's not actually a joke, but these have been made, and I'm happy for that. But I'm much more interested in 3 than I am in these, because I've had some pretty good mods too in the years that 1 and 2 have come out. With everything from adding, force powers and stuff. So it's cool, but I just don't think they can do anything technically to make them look good enough for most people to want to grab them. And since I have played them so many times, and I certainly have no issues with those games, I'm sort of sated on 1 and 2. Now, if they remade 1 and 2, it'd be a different discussion. But for those, no, I'm not. I'm not
the reason I think it's good is I've been kind of on this game preservation kick. And so for me, this secures that even if this remake or reboot from Aspyr sucks ass, you've still got these 2 sitting there that you can go, hey, they're available to everyone. You can get them on whatever system you want. You can play them back compat if you want to get the physical copy. You can get them on Steam. You can get the mods. And they're there for you to just enjoy and understand why people liked it. But if the reboot comes out and they're like, oh, it's terrible, or it's not as good, or it didn't channel the right things in there, then it'll actually, I think it's good to have that option there. What's interesting is this tweet also mentions this would be separate from the upcoming remake thingy, which would incorporate elements to include it into canon. So that would be contradicting what a lot of people, myself included, had heard, that this could be, by the way, High Republic. I wanted to make sure I specify that, because some people were like, it is High Republic. And I was like, no. I said right now it's very hush-hush on what direction they're really going in. I assumed, hey, you're not going to spend all this time on Old Republic shit, porting it, just to suddenly say, oh, we're going to do High Republic now, unless Disney really beat it over their head. But, there is the chance that it could go that route, just given how much Disney is pushing it. But we will see. Still very exciting, because, some people can take it on the go now. Does that appeal to you? I mean, I guess, right, you said Android.
It's already available, yeah, for me. Well, I mean, yeah, so if it's already available for me, what do you even mean? What is different?
It's the way I look at it is I can play KOTOR on my phone. I've played it on my phone, rather. I don't want to, though, because for me,
what will change with this?
It's on your Switch. That's a gaming device. That instead of using your phone, which is used for communication.
Just so you know, I didn't hear the Switch part. So this entire time, I've been talking about
Switch / modern consoles.
Yeah, this entire time I've been thinking modern consoles and stuff, not necessarily the Switch. So having it on the Switch is cool. I wouldn't buy it again, but that's definitely a plus.
What about a platinum trophy for KOTOR?
I don't give a fuck about platinum trophy.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong person.
I'm poking all the Karak buttons right now.
Yeah, wrong. Yeah, don't poke the bear. Don't poke the bear. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
Maddie.
No.
What's up?
During this podcast, I bought Knights of the Old Republic on Steam.
See, there you go.
Really?
While you were talking.
And
so there
you
you
can
go.
install mods, so it's already going to be better than whatever version these dudes make.
Exactly.
The only thing I'll say, and Maz can already do this, but I thought it was a pain in the ass. I'm
Matty.
I'm
fucking
A. I love it.
Dude.
This is the stick, and it's in the fucking ground.
Okay, go.
Wow.
All I'll say is KOTOR 1 needs widescreen big time. And the mod for that did not work really well for me.
True.
And so KOTOR 2, you know, they already pretty much did the re-release. They did the achievements, the 4K support, controller support. As far as I'm concerned, just do KOTOR 1. Call it a day.
I get what you're saying. I think that HUD support is definitely needed. Definitely needed.
And maybe they just do, if you already own the games, you get the free upgrade. That I imagine that'll be a thing, because if they're just straight upscaled ports.
Man,
then...
you know, I got to say, I haven't heard you this excited about something in years. You won't shut up about it. You've You've said, I'll say one more thing. I'll say one more thing twice in like 2 seconds. It's awesome. I'm glad to hear, because, dude, I could tell you were excited when we started talking about mobile ports and you being excited. You're not a mobile port person. So it's cool to hear you that excited about a game, because I haven't heard you this excited in a long. It reminds me of Spider-Man when we started making up our own title in the middle of the podcast, and we suddenly our game was 10 times better than whatever they were going to make.
I guess
it's cool to hear you that excited about it.
Yeah, of course there's nostalgia there, but I look back at, you know, this last year of gaming where there were a lot of great games. You know, my favorite game of the gen came out last year. Like, Persona's a very special series to me. I adore it. But when I really look, Royal, and when I look at the wasteland of game releases, and I think to myself, you know, a lot of things I've been very excited for kind of have burned in one way or another. Like Fallout 4, I still think is a great game, but it wasn't the true RPG I wanted. Cyberpunk, I thought was really, really great, but it kind of came up short in its story choices. And it's just, I guess, a nice sense of security that two things that I know can deliver on those things and that I have grown up with and I do like are kind of dropping this year. So I do feel a little more optimistic in general. Because, you know, we talked a little bit about this. I don't know if it was Defining Duke a couple episodes or was here. It was probably Defining Duke, how we kind of don't have right now that Cyberpunk game, right? That big industry-wide hype generator type game that exists. And coming out of that and reviewing that and stuff, I'm very happy we don't. It's kind of nice to just look at all the other games and be able to talk about all of them and see everyone excited about all of them instead of just, you know, one thing kind of dominating the conversation. And so that's
definitely cool
to
have a water cooler kind of title coming. I mean, because I think KOTOR, when it finally gets up and running and there's even just a for sure, it's going to be pretty insane.
Well, that's the other thing is, you know, I don't really have strong trust in Disney. A lot of people are ask me, oh, why do you want KOTOR back if, you know, it's Disney involved? And I mean, I look at games like Jedi Fallen Order, even Star Wars Squadrons in the terms of its gameplay. And I feel like Battlefront 2, there's been some flexibility there and there's been some really great content where I think to myself that I haven't really, outside of EA making a big blunder at the launch of Battlefront 1 and 2, I haven't really been given a real strong, compelling reason to have dire concern, especially now that Lucasfilms has sort of understood, hey, we could have so much more here that is better as well if we just let people pitch to us. You know, it kind of reminds me of the excitement I felt with Spider-Man PS4 with Insomniac, because to me that was just a dream, man. That's a perfect match. You know, you got a studio that's known for creative gadgets and good little jokes here or there, with a superhero who is known for exactly that, little quips and using technology alongside, you know, movement, which is the core at every Insomniac game. So yeah, it's just a good time, long story short. But with that, I suppose we'll move on to things I'll be a little more level about.
Fuck, man. I don't want to say anything because I don't want you to bring it up again. Let's move on to the next thing. You're so excited.
That's so bad. That's so bad.
I love it. It's awesome. It's awesome. What's the next thing?
Oh God, it does kind of tie back into it. All right, so
here we go.
Embracer Group. I'll do you guys a favor. I gotta pee pretty badly, so I will list the news and then step out. Okay. So Embracer Group has purchased Gearbox for $1.3 billion. They're best known for the Borderlands franchise. It still says that Take-Two is going to be working with them on an official capacity. And then Aspyr Media, the company known for porting KOTOR, as well as, I strongly believe, and it's pretty much a guarantee at this point, working on the KOTOR remake reboot, has been purchased for $450 million. Gentlemen, take it away. I'll give the audience a break, as well as you guys.
First of all, Matty says that they're best known for porting KOTOR. I don't think, is that accurate? They've done a lot of port work.
Yeah.
They did the ports, they do a lot of Mac ports. I think they did the Mac port for Civilization.
Aspyr did?
Yeah, I believe so. But I can't remember exactly. Let me look up their Wikipedia.
I think the cool thing about that company is they're a little lesser known, which is sort of nice. It's not like, I don't know, there's something sort of, especially, and they're also pretty gung-ho about like fans. The idea that he was saying that they got the mod for KOTOR 2 to be all ready when they did the remake of KOTOR 2, or did that HD remaster. That's pretty cool. Most companies wouldn't worry about that. What do they got? Did you find
Wow, their list of Mac ports is extensive. Like every Civilization 3, 4, 5, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Rainbow Six games.
So they're basically the main. I mean, because Mac doesn't have a ton of games compared to PC. But so what I'm saying is they might be the premier like port company.
Seriously, Battlefield, Borderlands 2, tons of Star Wars games, Guitar Hero, Geometry Wars, Roller Coaster Tycoon, SimCity, Spy Hunter, like Spider-Man, the movie, like just like all across the board, whether it be BioShock Infinite. There's another big one. So they're like the king of Mac ports. Yeah.
Interesting. That'll be, which also bodes well for whatever game they're making, knowing that it'll be on everything. You know,
they even do ports. They've done ports for Linux. They did the PlayStation 4 port of Jedi Knight 2, which is a fucking awesome game. Better than KOTOR. Observer. I had to throw that in there just for you, Matt. I don't even know if that's true.
Man, they are ridiculous. They're definitely, I mean, they are known for KOTOR, but I would say that reading that they're technically more known for being the go-to Mac port.
They even, let's see, like Windows platform here too. I mean, again, just a long list of games here. Wow.
Yeah,
more expensive than I thought.
Of ports. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I'll say, the only thing I would add, we already talked about, but that was that, you know, if you look at the 80 million, you do have to, you know, that doesn't supposedly include 40 and 40 for the PR, but 80 just for the game. That's actually not a huge amount. I broke it down with multiple games that have been made, including the original Resistance shooter, which not the original Homefront, not Homefront Resistance, but the original was already $50 million. Yeah. And so the price, it sort of scares you. You look at it and you're like, Borderlands 34 million in 2009 or 11, I can't remember. But I was running these numbers going, whoa, $80 million when you consider the polish you want. But I think as we've talked here about Outer Worlds and we've talked about all this stuff, if they do give you a good solid title without a ton of just like, you know, that almost RPG simulator kind of stuff these days, where it's like fucking slay 60, you know, tauntauns and skin them and wear their skins and take them to a trader. If they don't do that stuff, I think 80 million might work. It just also depends on, we're accustomed to the hub-based, you go to 5 planets. Like, remember, all of BioWare's games in the past were the same thing. The hub, and then going to 5 places, whether it be Hinterlands, whether it be a place in KOTOR, Jade Empire, they were all the same. We don't know if that's what they're going to do here. Maybe they have 3 big ones, you know, and they're like, instead of, you know, go, because remember when you would go in KOTOR and you'd go and you sort of could tell they were all the same. You would land at the port and it was like there was an exit and you would exit the port and then there was a place to go and you did this huge, you know, circle and maybe you took an extra path here or there, but you just had quests along the way. It really wasn't level wise crazy at all. It wasn't even really that dramatically good level wise. Maybe they do something where it's, you know, just 1 or 2 big places. Worry about getting good voices. I think we all expect. That's another thing. Disney, regardless if the game is good or bad, I think most people consider Disney to make sure that their voices are good. So even in Infinity, I don't know if you guys know, but like Disney Infinity 2, that had Star Wars, like that was actually really good. There were some rip-off voices as well as the real actors. I don't know. The 80 million it still causes me a moment like this weird, that seems odd, but also Embracer Group bottom. Who knows? Maybe this means, you know, there's more. You guys saw that meeting yesterday though, right? Or no, I think Matty put it in his video. when the guy's talking and Lars is like, yeah,
and he's all that shit-eating grin the whole time as he's talking about
the big IP we're working on. Lars obviously has enough money to fund 55 KOTOR games. Yeah. So if they decide that all of this work was to basically hedge a fucking KOTOR game, they could put 300 million in it and not skip a beat. So they bought Gearbox. They bought 3 companies in one day.
I know, right?
That mobile company is more money than any of us will see in a million lifetimes times a million lifetimes. Did you see how much that mobile company was that they bought? Did you look at that, Maddie?
No, I didn't catch that one.
So they, on the same day, they bought Gearbox and somebody else, and they bought a mobile company for $850 million. Same day.
So they spent $2 billion in a day.
In one day. Yeah.
Dude, we were talking about this on Sacred. Imagine how Insomniac feels right now.
Jeez. Yeah. Like, holy crap, 500 million, right?
Deal. Hold on, I'm trying to remember.
You know how much? Oh yeah, that's what.
The Insomniac deal was like way less money than Gearbox, and like, is anyone arguing that Gearbox is a better team than Insomniac?
Nope.
It's just the value of the Borderlands IP, I think, but I don't know, man.
Really?
Easy Brain. They bought Easy Brain, $640 million yesterday.
Dude,
what they paid.
Sony bought Insomniac for $229 million.
So that's good that he brought that up, because you were saying those numbers, and as you were saying them, you're saying sort of flippantly, you're like 480, fucking blah blah blah, blah 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 blah, 60. Those are millions, like millions and millions of dollars. It is crazy how much Embracer, and again, 211 IPs, 62 companies now, 62 companies. 10,000 employees.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to bring sports really into it, but it's kind of like a free agent market. You know, one guy will get, you know, like a pitcher will say, "Oh, I want 40 mil." He'll get paid 40 mil, and other pitchers will be like, "Well, if he got 40 mil, then you." Exactly. I was originally asking 25, but I kind of want 30 now.
Took the deal too soon, right?
So Insomniac, yeah, they took the deal too soon. They were independent for 2 decades. And then you've got Bethesda, who comes and gets $7.5 billion. There's no coincidence everyone's selling off now, because they're all like,
From Software. Do you guys think, you know, Sony gave them whatever they gave them yesterday? Again, I can't remember, but they did do the stock thing. Do you guys think, like, I just feel that if they don't pick up from, it just feels to me like somebody huge will, and be like, dude, because at some point the money.
Elden Ring was at the Microsoft conference. All I'm saying.
True that. No, that's absolutely right.
You got to wonder if Sony is looking like, okay, maybe we need to tie things up with From Software before.
That's what
Microsoft does, even though maybe they're not really interested, because they've
already talked.
See, they've talked about how Sony specifically has this idea of building studios up internally instead of just buying big studios. But you got to wonder if this is a situation where they're like, fuck, Bloodborne is like huge. You know, the PS4 generation is that's one of the games that's like people will be talking
Jack's
about.
Sort of a liar anyway, since Insomniac built itself up on its own, including an Xbox game. Like that's typical. That's usually just typical, you know, PlayStation.
I think that I don't know. Maybe that's the sentiment going forward. Because was Sean Layden still in charge when they bought Insomniac?
Don't know.
I want to say.
Remember, we were talking about that though. The tweet, Insomniac tweet, in the chat, Dustin, about like when he left, one single tweet about Sean leaving.
The one for Sean Layden, yeah.
For Sean Layden, who, man, I still think something weird happened there.
It definitely did.
It is, you know, who knows what that is, but
I feel like, I don't know. To me, it has to do with the fact of the restructuring, in the fact that they changed. I'm trying to think what it was. They changed.
They dropped Japan pretty much. That Japan, and it focused on United States and UK, right? I mean, overall.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that. Basically, like it was like, because he was the head of. Damn, I can't remember.
Because they did restructure. If you mean his job, yes, they restructured. Yeah, because when Jim came in, they did restructure that entire thing as well. Yeah, so he was more in charge of more things. But yeah, it's just it's weird when you look at it, like how that all happened. But that's beside the point. Embracer, huge. Yeah, I mean, it's to me, Embracer's huge. There were rumors about Microsoft buying Ubisoft. when you look at those prices and then you look at Bethesda prices, one of the things you're starting to see also is Embracer traded stock. I don't know if you guys saw this. Only of these deals, one of the weird ones was Gearbox. They gave them 50% via stock, which means everybody at the company now owns Embracer or stock. What I'm wondering is, do you start seeing, and then Sony did that with do you start seeing these companies doing this thing where they merge? Because did you guys notice the PR statement as well for Embracer? They stated they bought one company, but look at the statement for the other two. It says they have co-joined, or they have, there was a weird statement like they have almost like merged. And it was on Reddit, and even people on Reddit were like, whoa, I've never seen that language before. And so with all these huge guys grabbing everything up.
Intentional. It is.
Well, I'm just saying with all these, like Dustin said, Sony buys Insomniac, and then everybody's looking around. Embracer's been doing this for a while. Now Microsoft's doing it.
Well,
I think PlayStation's in a weird spot because you got Bluepoint, who people want them to wrap up and just be like, get them now.
Which one's Bluepoint?
They did Demon Souls remake, Shadow of the Colossus
Last
remake.
Guardian?
No, Last Guardian was...
Who was Last Guardian?
That was
they did
Team Eco.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Okay. Gotcha.
What was left of Team Eco in Japan studio.
I just feel like they're in a really weird position where their fan base definitely, I don't think they have to, but they want them to respond to Xbox buying out all of Bethesda and kind of joining this buying war. I'm sure that they are looking. I can't imagine when you get like 8 developers in total ripped out from under you, you're relatively pleased no matter how well your company's doing. And then is Bluepoint one you work on a like a second party capacity with for the most part, right? Or do you buy them outright, or do you go after someone big like a Ubisoft or a Capcom, and you get them? A Square Enix is really, I can imagine, possible as well. They seem pretty buddy. Do you see them go after someone like that? I feel like PlayStation is in such a weird spot because they've really puffed their chest out and flexed all of their success. But then you see someone on the other side of the competition, even Embracer in this case too, is kind of, even though they're not a console distributor, they're eating up companies. Gearbox is a good get for anybody because you get Gearbox, you get Borderlands, and that, no matter how much I wasn't a fan of Borderlands 3, that is a money printer. So
I got a question for you guys. Google, which you have on your list to talk about, Stadia.
I do not.
So Stadia went away. Their
Right.
first party completely was gutted. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the prior day, Bohemia Interactive had a guy who quit. Bohemia is one of my favorite developers, Arma, stuff like that. He quit. And the day prior to this announcement, he was saying, man, our first party studios at Stadia have a ton of cool stuff to show. And then the next day, first party studios are destroyed. I'm wondering where those guys go, because I can guarantee you that there is going to be at least a couple companies formed from the massive amount of people that left Stadia in one day. And so what I've been wondering as well is, like, will you hear of Embracer Group making? Will you hear Microsoft? Will Sony do it? Like, there's a lot of, and even though none of us are impressed with Stadia, I would say from a technology standpoint, we don't know what games they were working on and what talent they had. So there's a lot of people who just entered the market as of yesterday too. Because I know I saw my LinkedIn just go nuts because people had applied their changes to their resumes. So that's another thing. Like, that's another big company. By the way, we lost a company technically. Google. Well, do you guys think Google, since they said they're going to switch to third party only, do you think Google will join this fray and start buying things?
I think they're phasing out, in my opinion. I feel like Google's an instant gratification style company. It's how they've always operated. And I think this is just, they tried it, didn't really work right off the bat. I think if they stuck with it and listened a little bit closer, they could have had something, but they didn't. And so I think they're just going to phase it out over time.
And I think that they said that part of their new strategy is selling Stadia tech to other companies.
Yeah, right.
So honestly, I think that Stadia, even without the first party, Stadia as we know it right now, the days are numbered.
Yeah.
Before,
and
they
remember,
just start,
Amazon's out there with Luna.
Right. And I think that also, Stadia may be looking at or Google may be saying we have the Stadia tech, maybe we can sell it to Electronic Arts, and then Electronic Arts can sell streamable versions of their game from an EA service or whatever it's called.
Yeah, true. EA Access.
EA Play now is
that's
what it's called.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Right.
Do you want to do that though if EA Plays rolled into Game Pass, and does Microsoft say, "Hey, just use xCloud"?
Right.
They
that
might.
Was just a random
it's all
example.
going to be.
No,
about,
I think it's a great example. Sorry, I didn't mean to like sound like a nitpick there, but I just was thinking to myself afterwards, like, does Microsoft just end up being kind of like the person who just drops the gate at the entrance and goes, "Nope, you're not getting in unless you use xCloud"?
Microsoft, everything that I've heard, Microsoft has no requirements on any deals. I just think EA would look at
here's
the cost.
money.
EA would look at the cost and say, does it behoove us to buy the tech versus just go with somebody we've now dealt with? Remember, EA and Microsoft have worked together now for Game Pass for like 5 years. It's obviously not like suddenly magically going bad. But I will say Amazon just stated, I don't know if you guys saw, but Bee's Nose or whatever his name is, he's leaving and he's being replaced by somebody who's Bezos. He stated the replacement yesterday stated they have absolutely no like desire to leave gaming, even though they've had Crucible, which came and went and got canceled, and they have their shitty new MMO. You know, do you see them start looking? I mean, especially because they can't continue to just make shitty games. Crucible cost them $100 million, so it's like, what do? Well, $100 million
they probably make that in a day.
AA, right? But they could also say, why lose it? Why not buy a small AA company for $100 million? And what I was getting at was, it seems like the big players have popped up quick, is what I was saying. Out of nowhere. It's like Embracer, we sort of saw coming. Vivendi, we all worried about. Vivendi's like snuck off. Tencent, everybody worries about. But there's a lot of these big players, man, that hold
Tencent
a lot of
put
IPs.
a major investment in someone. Who was it recently? Was it Focus Home or Don't Nod? What was it?
It was Don't Nod, which
it was Don't Nod.
Is so weird.
Yeah.
Because I think I mentioned this on Sacred Symbols. Sorry for any double listeners, but like, Don't Nod is such a progressive company in how they write the stories of their games, and it's like Tencent in China and progressive messages do not mix. So
it's a money deal, man. It's a money deal.
You hope that it's a money deal if you're part of that company,
like
and you better hope that they don't come knocking at your door and saying like, "Hey, we need to make some creative changes." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, don't fuck with the next Vampire game, man. That shit's gonna be awesome. Hopefully.
Oh God, please don't screw with that. After Werewolf not being awesome.
That's what I'm saying, right? I mean, I'm trusting that game will happen because Focus Home was pretty open. Hey, 500,000, we're a success. 1 million, we'll do another, and it sold way beyond 1 million.
I think it's at 2.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I just saw it just hit 2 or something like that. Maybe it was 1.
Yeah. So I imagine that is due in a couple of years, and I'm curious to see what they do with that game.
Did you know Vampire only cost 7? Or we talk about this. I'm getting overlapped because I can't remember. Vampire only cost 7 million. Greedfall, 7 million.
Greedfall was 7 mil?
Listen to this,
really?
Matty, that's exactly my response.
Wow.
Even though I know it's got jank, my response is what changed my original thought about Aspyr getting only 80. Because I was like, well, wait a minute. If Greedfall's janky, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying if that's your level, what if you tripled that to 21 million?
I mean, dude,
that
Greedfall's
turns
voice
into a
acting
game.
Was great.
Right. Can you imagine that game with 21 million? Like, then you'd start getting some high level. The cutscenes were a little rough, so you'd start getting super high level of that. You could, so it's, dude, it's a really interesting time.
I think it also just depends
really
on talent management and
of course.
Just because some companies you get overwhelmed. Like, that's the one thing I'm afraid of with Obsidian is they've kind of always worked
on their own little thing on the side.
Yeah. It's even with New Vegas, you can tell it's an amazing RPG, but that's not a big budget game. Like, I just, at least from what I can see, I don't know its actual budget, so I shouldn't speak as matter of fact. But what I'm saying is Obsidian definitely was not like a top tier AAA developer like they are being touted as now. And I'm feeling confident with their future because The Outer Worlds kind of stomped out one of their biggest critiques, which is bugs. The Outer Worlds was relatively bug-free, and that was pretty surprising to see. It was just something I worry about with them where there is that when I interviewed the people from Pandemic, I kind of shined a light on there is this thing called growing too fast where they took on too many things, got too much money in, tried to do 8 different things, and then they just collapsed, and that was it. They were one of the most successful companies, and they immediately got shut down because they blew their load, man. And so I just hope that with these companies that do get that large influx of cash, that it's handled properly. Like, I imagine, I can't see after Greedfall, I can't see Spiders being a company that just remains like a lower budget team for much longer. I feel if Steel Rising, their next game, is good and well received, someone's going to want to either just buy them from fucking Focus Home straight up or buy out Focus Home and give them a lot more cash to play with. But
we'll say one thing about a little negative here that surprised me, but I think we all agree on this. I don't know how many games from these guys he's covered, but I will say the one thing that if I were a company who just got purchased by Embracer, I would be deathly afraid of is their shit-ass, terrible, unbelievably unacceptable PR. It's the worst PR. Darksiders came out, no one knew. Darksiders Genesis came out, no one knew. Their PR is abysmal. It is the worst PR I've ever seen. No one knows about their games coming out. That is the one thing. And he's stated, Matty and I have talked about this. He stated in his document, he's like, our plan is to not spend a bunch of money. Like, and he had some comparison. He's like, if they spend, $100 million to make 200 million, we have no problem spending 1 million to make 2 million or something. It was a huge dump. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, guess what? A lot of that is PR, and they are terrible at it. Like, I did a review and people are like, this game's coming out, and that is not what you want to hear. Look at Werewolf. Nacon is not great. But that video is doing tremendous because people actually wanted to know if that game was good because they had seen previews for it. They'd actually seen stuff. Darksiders Genesis, man, that game, by the way, was good. People just didn't even know it existed.
I think you'd say the same for Darksiders 3. Yeah, Darksiders 3 I wasn't a fan of, but I know a lot of people liked it, and that didn't get really any attention.
And these guys need to not just buy; they need to support their.
That's why. Not to spin this back to Xbox, but I think that's why so many teams are a huge fan of Game Pass. It's that kind of like if I were ever to launch a game, I'd 100% do Game Pass day one. It just people like the idea of free shit, even if you're paying for Game Pass. It's something you pay for. The idea of something being added in there, it just gets people talking, and it keeps your game relevant longer. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll see more embracing of that. Pardon the pun.
Embracing. That's twice, dude. You can't use the same pun twice. You said it on Wednesday. Damn you, dude.
Did I really?
You absolutely did. And I even called you on it. I was like, ooh, good pun. And you're like, ha. Can't use it twice.
Oh, I'm such a natural.
Question for you guys, though. When you see all of these, especially these big companies, do you think a Nintendo maybe? Well, I'll leave that in there. Do you think a Nintendo or a Sony now not is the punchback shit? I don't believe in that, but now is looking at, like we said, From. Do you guys actually think this causes them to look at it closer and go, should we pick up From? Or do you think that they're just still like, hey, our shit's awesome?
I feel like you look at the portfolio of companies. Here's the thing: Sony's actually shut down a lot since like the Vita, and I know some of them, like I think Sony Cambridge was one that got closed. I'm trying to remember. There's so many ones, but they closed at least 3 since I want to say 2012, 2013, and Insomniac was surprising to me more so because they actually bought someone. So you could look at their set of teams like a Santa Monica, Insomniac, and so on, and go, hey, we're pretty set. But I don't think bringing a new member to the family would be a bad idea. I feel like they should be hungry to do something like that. Their biggest enemy is complacency this generation. They've got the team and the talent and the stuff. It's about just resting too hard on that. That's why people are big on Xbox, because we haven't really seen what the fuck they're going to do with it, but they're aggressive, and people like that because then you hope your competition responds. So following that belief, I hope PlayStation does knock on someone's door.
I feel like, I don't know. I just don't know From. There's such,
independent.
They're such a beloved team at this point. They won Game of the Year with their last release, and every time they have a game out, it's a big event. I mean, with Sekiro, they partnered with Activision, which is kind of odd, but it's clear that it's like, hey, there's a lot of money to be made here. And you got to wonder, it's like Microsoft bought Bethesda, which we're pretty sure was struggling behind the scenes, right? Based on many games underperforming, right? And so you got to wonder what the price of a company like From Software, who is just releasing banger after banger, year after year, creating games that are always on Game of the Year lists every year, every time they release a game. So it's one of those things where I don't know if Sony could reasonably afford From Software. I mean, obviously they could probably, but they don't have the type of cash that Microsoft has. I feel like if they did buy them, it would be like it's one of those things where it's like you said, like Maddie was saying, that Sony may or may not even be, they already have so many teams. They've got the talent. Yeah. Buying From, I feel like, would be a measure to make sure no one else buys them first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I just don't know if they realistically can do, because like, look, I would say that From is way more valuable than Gearbox, right? And how much was Gearbox?
1.3 billion.
1.3 billion for Gearbox. And they're okay, before fucking Borderlands 3, they released Battleborn. 1.3 billion.
Yeah.
From Software is fetching at least that much.
So it's obvious they knew what Aspyr was working on because they talked about it yesterday or a couple days ago in their announcement. Do you think there is the possibility then that at that high price, perhaps we're not talking about Borderlands? That's one of the things I was talking about in my podcast. Is I was like, that is an extraordinary amount of money. And I get that Borderlands is big, but 3 did not set the world on fire. From what that I know of. So is it possible that there's something else going on at Gearbox? Some other title
here. It
could be
the Borderlands IP part of the purchase?
I don't know if it's like sole ownership, but it could be, because here's the thing: is Bethesda's price tag is high because of all the studios they have and the games that they own. But at the end of the day, I think it made a lot more sense when you saw, hey, there's also an Indiana Jones game coming, and it's likely to be exclusive.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too. I'm wondering if Embracer saw something that we're not.
On the right path.
Yeah, that we're maybe not seeing with, because that's a lot of money. 1.2 billion, and I didn't even think about that until he brought up that, Borderlands 3, I don't know how well it did, but I can tell you critically, it didn't do incredibly great. It had a lot of technical issues, a lot of people having issues and returns. And I just don't see billions being involved in that. And so is it possible that they are looking at IPs? For example, I'm not saying this is happening, but would it be crazy as fuck if there was a KOTOR game and then Gearbox made a shooter, like a Republic Commando 2, and it was Gearbox? I'm just saying.
So on this IGN article, it says 2K will still publish Borderlands despite Gearbox takeover.
Yeah.
So it's probably more to it. It's got to be.
But that's not the IP. That's the publishing rights, which are different.
True. Either way, though.
Yeah. Either way, it's too much, right? I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that seems like a 700, 800 million type deal. Not like there's something in there that's added that's put a couple $100 million on the board for them.
Right. And I think that overall we're just seeing right now a lot of these companies are being bought for an inflated price.
I agree.
Bethesda, well, how much the number?
7.5 billion.
7.5. They're not worth that.
Yeah.
They're not. I think that, and this is something Colin has said, is that it's just like Bethesda probably was not for sale. But when someone comes in with $7.5 billion, anything's for sale. And just to be clear, that's something Colin said. I don't want people to think I'm stealing his takes, but I think it's true. And so now you see a deal like that. You see Gearbox. You see I'm trying to think of the other big ones.
Aspyr. Oh, yeah. The other big ones. Yeah.
Well, and the Codemasters deal was so high because it was a competition between, what was it, 2K and
it's a bidding war,
a bidding war. Mm-hmm. So right now the prices on these studios is across the board way higher, because again, look at Insomniac from, was it last year or the year before, whenever, and that was like, you look at that now and it's like, damn, Sony got a fucking deal.
Yeah, they robbed them. Big time.
Another thing this could all mean too is that because I agree, when you look at the price, you're like, wait, what? Admittedly, there's some IPs for Bethesda, or a ton of IPs in the behind the scenes, that Microsoft may see. But I would agree with all this, because I do believe that all of them are gearing up for one last. It feels like at least one last hurrah. And it's certainly, when you look at Embracer, they're third party, right? Because they're not going to really be exclusive. And he's an investment firm guy, which means inherently Embracer Group will probably sell. Embracer Group he is not a business. I don't know what the term would be. He is not a guy who wants to sit like a grandpa on top of his business. In fact, I don't know if you guys know, he's owned THQ Nordic twice. He ran it into the ground and bankrupted it when he was in his 20s, and then bought it for $1 when the other company that had bought it failed, and he bought it for $1. He bought his trademark back.
They're doing well now.
Yeah, they're doing great, and he learned, and that's what you should do. But Embracer Group is an investment group, meaning it won't just be there. They will sell things off. They will move things around. I'm wondering if it's just one big hurrah, where it's like we got streaming coming. This is going to be a major battle for everything. I mean, because I had forgotten about Codemasters, but like some of these purchases, you're all seriously? Where are the numbers coming from?
Yeah, it just, like I said, it kind of reminds me of sports in the way where I feel like, because there's been so many years of free agency, there's kind of an expected, you hit this much at an average, or you hit this many home runs, like you should be in this ballpark area. Because we're kind of new to this influx of just lots of studio acquisitions, I think you're seeing a lot. Maybe just even with Embracer buying Gearbox, maybe there's nothing on the table. They just shot way high, and that was it. I think we don't have that gauged, like, you've produced this banger and these, like, Homeworld, okay? Like, it's like you should be sitting here. And maybe it's that some of these companies go, well, we're fine. We don't need you. We're open to selling. And they're like, well, wait, we really want you. And then they give them that more money. It's bargaining at its finest, I'd say. I was looking at the PlayStation studios that had closed because I knew I wasn't going crazy. They've closed 3 UK studios over the last generation. Guerrilla Cambridge in 2017, Evolution in 2016, and then Manchester VR last year. So PlayStation has closed a lot, and then they only bought recently Insomniac. So I would say they're trying to be efficient, and maybe they are going to do a little shopping.
It'll be interesting to see what they do.
We shall see. Last bit of news. Hitman 3 roadmap. So Hitman 3, already one of the very bright spots of this year, in my opinion. More content on the way. IO Interactive has revealed the February roadmap for Hitman 3, which kicks off with the Baskerville-Barney escalation contract in the Dartmoor level. The goal here is to eliminate the entire Carlisle family and make each murder look like an accident. Featured contracts on the Dubai level will arrive on February 11th, courtesy of a video and podcast show, MinMax. IO Interactive says that you can expect to use plenty of bananas in these contracts. The Sinbad stringent escalation contract will also be added on February 18th and will take place in Dubai. Unlike other escalation contracts, these missions will feature Agent 47 practicing his throwing knife skills against boxes that have been arranged throughout the level, each with each slain cube containing some sort of surprise. The second round of featured contracts will bring players back to Dartmoor, each mission having been created by the crew at Kind of Funny. Owners of Hitman 3's Deluxe Edition will have 2 exclusive escalation missions on February 23rd, which also reward those players with unique items. The Gachito Antiquity on the Mendoza map will add the Guru suit, a emetic poison syringe pen, and an emetic grenade to Agent 47's arsenal once those missions have been completed. The Prolof Parable takes place on Hitman 3's Carpathian Mountains level and transforms Agent 47 into a ninja who has to work his way through the level in its very first escalation mission. The risk is worth the reward, though, as players can earn a White Shadow ninja outfit, which looks sick, by the way, a custom Saiger, if I'm saying that right, 300 silent sniper rifle, and a white katana. Lastly, Hitman 3's first elusive target mission will arrive February 26th and will run until March 8th. The Deceivers take place in the first Hitman's Sapienza level, and you'll be tasked with eliminating 2 targets. This will be the type of content that players can expect in Hitman 3, as outside of a possible remix of existing stages. IO Interactive has no plans to add new levels to the World of Assassination sandboxes. So that information comes from GameSpot. Gentlemen, did you like what you heard? Are you excited for a little more Hitman 3? That was a lot.
My brain turned off halfway through.
Here's the thing. I don't know. IO Interactive.
I don't know.
Reach out to us. We will give you either the Mr. Matty Plays or the Last Stand Media. We can be part of this roadmap. We'll make the escalation missions. Okay, hit us up because I want to do it. I think that would be awesome.
Dude, you mean where you do the mission and then like
Karak would make you kill a fucking kid.
Dude, I would. No, but I mean everything about Hitman 3 is awesome. So all of that stuff is great. I like the idea of the ninja, but that's so many words and stuff. I can't track and I think I was going to Carpathian Mountains, so that's cool.
Yeah, that needed more for sure.
You get a white
shadow
sword.
ninja outfit.
Sorry,
and a katana.
I was just gonna say, isn't it? There's a min-max and a kind of funny thing. That's what I'm saying. Hit us up. Last Stand Media. We'll make it happen.
I'll put a tweet out. Yeah.
Wait, what are we talking about? I heard kind of funny. I thought you were saying something was kind of funny.
No, they're partnering with min-max and kind of funny to do like they create the escalation missions and then everyone can play it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm saying.
Interesting. Well, then they should definitely review the next game.
Oh.
Yeah, I
don't know. Did they review it? To be fair, I don't know. Did they do a review for something like that?
Piece of their content in my entire life.
Oh.
I would say when it comes to Hitman, the one thing that I'm really excited about is the exclusive missions. But I don't know how you beat Nick. What was his name? Gary Busey. So do you do like? I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like. I want him to get a big personality for the next one. That's what I'm hoping.
See, I'm kind of new to
who the two were.
I'm kind of new to Hitman, and it's like post-launch content. So these elusive targets, they're like new people you take out on the map with their own kind of.
Matty, they're not only that, they're usually movie stars, B-movie stars.
I know they had like was it a James Bond?
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean. Sean Bean is in there, who dies all the time, but also Gary Busey, crazy ass, incredibly fucking nutbar Gary Busey. And you follow him, but it's Gary Busey. He doesn't pretend not to be Gary Busey. And you have to follow him and figure out how to kill him. They're awesome. They're awesome. And it's a perfect way. Kevin Sorbo from Hercules. I say go out and get the fucking, get Eddie Murphy, man. Get some people out there. Get Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart loves video games. Get Kevin Hart to do one, and you have to kill him while he's on stage, as a comedian. Those kind of things are what Hitman has that no other game right now has, which is they're able to tap into what is actually going on currently around. And they haven't, other than Gary Busey, because he was on that TV show, The Apprentice. Other than that, they haven't, and Sean Bean, who's died and everything, that was the joke. I would just love to see some crazy B actors in that.
You know what, I want, what I think would be really funny is, in the level that's like the nightclub in Hitman 3, I want like a Post Malone. Imagining like a musical artist or something like that.
Yeah, that's very.
That's the one with the rave anyway, right? Because he's already got the rave anyway. Isn't that the one?
He's done DJ stuff and stuff like that. But it could be him performing at the concert and then or something like that when you come in. But I just feel like he would be cool because he's so unique. He's got the face tats and stuff like that, and and he's into video games and stuff. He's a cool dude, so I feel like make it happen. Post Malone.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I think those kind of things. That's what Hitman's about. And dude, it wouldn't surprise me because they surprised the hell out of me with getting Gary Busey. Like because that's sort of an inside joke. Like they definitely know the zeitgeist of the world. So it'll be cool to see who these two people are. These first two people. Like, are they twins? Are they the Kardashians? They won't be. But I would flip a biscuit if they were like exclusive targets, the Kardashians. It would be the end of the world for me, man. That would be so good.
Yeah, man, I would dig that. I'm excited for this because I've just never experienced it before. But long story short, because I know that was a lot of info, some new weapons, some new gadgets that you can unlock, a couple new missions to run through, kind of repurposing the map in different ways for you to acquire. And so for me, more time spent in this game is good news. It's one of the rare times, I can't speak on the game, of course, but I'm reviewing Persona 5 Strikers. But I do keep thinking about Hitman 3 just because Hitman 3 is that good. Cannot emphasize it enough. So,
yes,
more coming to that game. We'll talk about it down the line, of course. And now, patron questions as we wrap up this show. So, like I said, if you guys want to sign up, you want to support the show, patreon.com/MrMattyPlays. You can submit your questions if you desire, and we'll answer them so long as they're not extremely ridiculous. All right, let's fire open this section here. Man, I don't even know where we got to start with this. Because I guess I would be the only one who would know, right?
You would be the only one,
I
Matty.
would be the only one who knows, right? Okay. 3D audio, Atmos, right? That was a tech question.
Yeah, we got that one.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Yep. This I'm Valen guy reflected on his life. Okay. Here we go. Chris Cozy writes in. Have you ever started to believe something because you saw it in a video game? I started believing in aliens when I first played Mass Effect and read into the lore of the mass relay in Contact War, and I just thought to myself, yeah, that could happen.
E.
Because he wrote Y-E-A. So I'm like, yeah.
I love it. E.
Not like, yeah, that could happen. He's like, yeah. You guys ever buy into something that, I don't know. I'm able to separate reality and fiction. Chris, I think you're off your rocker right now, but that's just my take. Nothing in a game has really led me to believe, yeah. I mean, if we're talking like that, like, yeah, this could happen. Like, I think of Fallout all the time. Like, yeah, that could, yeah, just, fuck it, nuke. Let's just launch them. Sure.
See, I get the point of the question. It's so, my gut reaction is think of in games, I'm like, this would never happen. Like Hitman, I'm like, this is a zero realism game because the whole point of the game is like learning
on his head.
Yeah, well, that, and I'm just like, oh, so like you knocked this guy out and stole his clothes, even though that person saw you 3 seconds ago. Now they believe, and it's like you learn
let some of that go, yeah.
Right, and the point, it's the gameplay is king here. You're not playing Hitman for a realistic, assassination game, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that would then led me to believe to be real.
I mean, the idea is games are not supposed to mimic reality. Otherwise, they're kind of boring.
What about that? We brought this up earlier about Homefront. I mean, like the idea of like a North American takeover from a foreign country. I mean,
those games were way better than they had a right to be, too. I think.
Yeah.
Did you like the Revolution? I think it was called the
newer one.
Yeah, like the newest one. I forgot. I think it's by like Code Busters or something, or Dam Busters.
I actually ended up liking it way more than I thought, and I did a walking the walk on it actually because the tech
that up because
crazy.
I remember playing that for 4 hours and not really digging it.
Yeah, you did.
I've never played them.
Talked about it. It's the one where you can have the transformable guns, which I thought was awesome. So like a real if you have a real assault rifle, most of them can switch out barrels pretty quickly. So what the game built on was not only switching out a barrel, but like switching it out to a not completely different gun, somewhat different gun. And it really made the game snap. It was awesome. Plus,
I just remember the setting being awesome.
Missions. So you could just be like, in the Discord, I'd just be like, hey guys, anybody want to play? You can have up to 8 people. But it's like a single player game, but it's now 8 people in there and you're just running around and fucking sliding and it's almost like having your own basically mini Call of Duty server, except slower death because it takes more bullets to kill you. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Very nice. Vol 101 guy writes in, I'll just re-ask my question from last week because Karak wasn't there. I just got done watching Defining Duke, and I really think Karak should go off on why he loves Fallout 4 VR modded so much. I've never heard of anyone playing 1,400 hours of a VR title. Kind of debating getting it. So, oh man.
What if I pretended I had frozen in this position?
He's in bliss right now.
Dude, Fallout 4. Okay. Because he didn't say if he'd played Fallout 4 before. Dude, Fallout 4 VR is awesome because you can find, it's hard to describe, but when you go into a building in a 2D pancake game, the screen never gets towards you. It never goes towards you. It's just like when you look at a rainstorm outside, if you look through your window, great, it might be beautiful. But when you can go outside into the rain, that shit's the snack. That is exactly what Fallout VR is. That game changed everything for me for VR. And one of the reasons is because the higher resolution headset that I had bought at the time. So Fallout is not the prettiest game, but a lot of VR games have an issue with cloudiness. And once you get the mods running in Fallout VR and you go around, what's that Red Rocket gas station? The first gas station.
Yeah, Red Rocket. Yep.
I can't describe it, man. I was listening, and you can hear the Vault Boy only on your right, through your right ear because it's connected to that hand. And I was like walking, it was in the middle of the night, and I see that light come up, and it was one of those moments where, a little like Dragon's Dogma, when you see Grand Soren or whatever, it's just everything's sort of dark around you, and you see it up there, and you're like, oh shit, this could be dangerous. And you can fire, everything works. Like the guns, all of it. In fact, I would say it improves the shooting a dramatic amount because Fallout 4 shooting isn't great. And so with this, it is. And dude, the first time you wind up the electric coil gun in VR, sweet. You have that thing and you're like, rah, rah, and it's got this sound that comes in just the one side. And it's like this, you hear that grinding and the electricity starts fucking, dude. It's so good. And yeah, I played, I think the first time I got it hooked up, it was about 27 hours in a row.
Whoa.
Without going to Christ.
Yeah. It was so bad that I was violently ill for a day or so after, violently ill, and then played while I was violently ill and continued to play. It's better than Skyrim by a huge amount because I think it's guns. And I think Skyrim fails a little bit because of the melee.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about that on this show, that you can just kind of like tickle someone with your sword.
Yeah.
Fuck them up.
Dude, when you go into that first mini mart and you're like looking around corners, and also I tighten up the difficulty because it's going to be a little easier, right? But you tighten up the difficulty, man, and you come in there and you can hear sounds above your head, below your head. You can hear like a cart roll across the floor. And what's so funny is if you see a cart roll across the floor on a 2D plane, you see it from your right eye, one edge, to the left eye, one edge. But when it's 3D, you can like curl around, you can see the depth, and you can see this thing wheeling by. It is awesome, man. It is one of the cool, to have an explosion go off and have shit fly past your head the first time, so if you already liked Fallout and then that happens, it's like, it's the shit. I have so many mods in that game. That and Skyrim with the full body mod and the Dragon natural speaking, where you can talk to everybody and you don't have to use menus at all. I'm telling you guys, man, VR is not perfect, but if you are okay and you already are a Bethesda fan, you are missing the fuck out if you are not doing Skyrim or Fallout 4. And in particular, I personally think Fallout 4 with the post-apocalyptic and slightly updated graphics is better.
Very nice. I think you did.
As you can tell, I just got excited and started rambling.
Hell yeah. That's what we want. He also wrote in asking one more question. Are there any games that are most likely coming out this year that you are interested in? That I'm not trying to roast you. That may be one of the most easiest to answer questions we've ever received. Are you excited about anything? I think I need no answer. I think mine's very obvious. So, what are you guys excited about?
Elden Ring. It's coming out this year.
You're putting it into the universe?
I'm putting it in the universe.
I believe. Yeah,
I gotta believe. It's like Parappa the Rapper. I gotta believe. That's the thing.
I'm with you.
Believe.
I think it's possible. I think it's very possible. It should happen, but 'tis just me thoughts.
Not this year. I mean, I'm interested in a bunch of stuff, but I don't have anything that's top.
Exciting.
Top on my game. Oh no, there is the 2D, the Cyberpunk game that wasn't called Cyberpunk, but it looked like pixels. Something Night.
The Last Night. That game looks great. Yeah.
That game looks sick. So the Last Night. Very interested.
Dude, that guy's cool. The guy he's really interesting. The creator, Tim Soret.
I'm not sure.
Interesting. He's a good follow on Twitter. Interesting guy too, because he got like attempted canceling. Maybe it was a successful cancel because he like supported or made like a pro Gamergate tweet at one point that people dug up, and it's a whole big mess. Really unfairly treated, in my opinion.
I would have no idea. Because not because I want to, but I forget about that game all the time because I remember seeing it at E3 and going like, oh shit, this looks amazing, and then
nothing.
It just nothing. It just fell off the map.
Still in development, apparently.
Good. Brucey 1989 writes in, after the discussion on Pokemon needing to change the core series the other week, do you think they will, despite the fact that Sword and Shield still sold over 20 million copies? See, the optimist in me wants to say somewhat yes. The reason I say that is because creatives, you would imagine, don't want to just bake in the same shit constantly. Right. Just that's the nature of creating and making something. You want to see how you can up it a little bit. But that's the thing, a little bit. Depends how much they want to up it. It's weird because Pokemon is the highest grossing license out there. Straight up. Like, it makes a shit ton of money. Number one. But they have a very small team working on Pokemon games. It's like over 100 people. And I don't know, man, but when you got thousands working on Assassin's Creed, but you got 100 some odd people working on Pokemon?
So you're saying they got 100 people working on Pokemon and they're making that much money?
Game Freak is small, man. Feel free to, I'll double check in the meantime, but yeah.
Dude, they must be making, or those. Hopefully, those people have what's the term? Income share. Profit sharing.
Yeah.
143.
That'd be the absolute shitter. If you knew the company was making that much money and you didn't have profit sharing, I'd be so pissed.
Here's the thing about this is that I've been hoping for a new and improved Pokemon or like a console Pokemon, whatever you want to say, something different. I can't even I don't even know how long. I mean, like, as soon as they hit the towards the DS and the 3DS, it's like, it's kind of getting stale, like really stale. I would forgive it for a while, during the Pokemon. Let's see, what were the Game Boy Advance ones? Sapphire, Emerald, stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
So it's at this point, I've just stopped hoping for that because it's just been the same for so long. They continue to make more money. Why would they? Why would they change the formula when there's this much money being made? It's like, I can't even blame them. Like, obviously it's a frustrating as, I mean, I'm not at the point where I'd call myself a former Pokemon fan. It's not like I hate Pokemon now. I just don't care. I'm just apathetic. But again, I can't blame them.
So an interview in 2019 says, this comes from Amori, who's one of the directors of the studio, says, so yeah, the number being close to 1,000, because they said close to 1,000 people worked on the game, includes all different functions like marketing and PR and everyone that would be associated with the game ahead of its release. But I think at Game Freak, really the core team of people that worked on the game was around 200. So somewhere in that 150 to 200 range, which I'm sorry, that in my eyes, that's still not enough for the biggest IP on the planet. One of the best-selling ones. It just doesn't seem right to me. But yeah, why would they change it? I don't know. I don't think they would. But I hope that they, as creators, are like, hey, we can make something really special. Like, get inspired talent in there, which isn't going, another Pokemon game, but going like, hey, we should like when we grew up, Dustin, what we defined a lot of our childhood with, a Pokemon Stadium, getting that 3D battle experience, getting that,
good shit.
For a lot of people out there, Snap, interacting with them. I'll admit it. That level of interaction was probably good for some people out there.
With Snap being the best of the Pokemon games completely amongst all of them.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Of course.
Yeah. What a good joke. You see how straight my face went? I was like, I'm all laughing.
I did. Dude, for some reason, the only thing you can't joke about is Pokemon, you weirdo. But with Pokemon, what would you guys do if Pokemon showed up looking ultra realistic? Like Unreal 5?
I hate that look.
What's the term? Where you sometimes will see a cartoon character where somebody 3D models them to make them look scary?
Yeah,
so what if I don't know any Pokemon names? I'm trying to come up with one. Shard or Shit Zard or whatever his name is. What's it called? Shit Zard?
Charizard.
Yeah.
Charizard. What if that thing Charizard? What if that thing showed up and it looked like what you would expect, but then evil fangs? Would you play that? Like if it was like modern fucking or Uber, like super. I sort of think that would work, man. Imagine like the play.
Scare the life out of kids.
I mean, they did that with Detective Pikachu. They made like very realistic looking Pokemon.
Yeah. In the movie or show, right?
Huge.
That what you're talking about? Yeah.
Like some of them just looked a little too real.
Uncanny Valley. Yeah.
That movie wasn't bad.
I love that movie. Don't get me wrong, but
I begrudgingly saw it in the theater, and then I walked out. I'm like, you know what? That wasn't bad. Wasn't great.
Well, for me, it was I saw it, I liked it. Then I saw Sonic and went Pokemon or Detective Pikachu. That was actually a really good movie. Now, in comparison to that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I never saw Sonic. I kind of want to, though.
Because so many people said it was fucking amazing. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I'm not really a big Sonic guy.
Amazing.
I'm not kidding.
Dude, has Sonic ever done anything amazing?
Because that fucking movie got dragged, of course, and rightfully so for how weird it looked in its first set of trailers. And they delayed it to redo everything. And people are going, this is an amazing movie. It looks so good. I go, I got $13-$14. I'll go spend a couple hours at the theater. Look, like that shit was just terrible in my eyes. Like it was just a kids movie, which, you know, you could say, oh, it should have been that. But I mean, Detective Pikachu had some good humor tossed in there for adults and children. So, and it was a good, it respected the nostalgia of people as well. So, I don't know. Just my 2 cents. HRO's 1518 writes in, what do you like about the current video game industry in its state? What do you dislike? How do you think it should evolve? And how do you think it will evolve?
Wow, a lot of open-ended questions today.
Yeah, I know, right? What the hell's going on? It's like someone's going to ask me, do you like sleep next?
Here, I can make mine quick and snappy.
Okay.
What do I like about the gaming industry right now? I like the increased focus on performance, especially in the console space. You know, we're seeing options as far as like performance fidelity modes, and a lot of them are turning out pretty good. And I like the fact that the games that aren't are being heavily scrutinized, because I do believe that performance is such a huge factor. So my hope is that continues and we see more options for all players, whether it be on PC or console, to be able to play in the way that they like, whether that is, you know, some people enjoy 30 FPS with ray tracing. Some people want 60. Give them options. There's my quick answer.
I think mine is Game Pass is what I like most right now. I think, you know, the idea of just being able to get in and you know, if you can only get a console, just being able to get in for cheap and have a whole library there. You know, I have tons of friends, you know, don't have, I'm not even saying like I have a lot, but just like friends who don't have much money, and Game Pass is just such a, you know, a boon to them. It's gives them access to things they never would have been able to try or experience or experiment with, and a choice of not just, hey, I'm going to play like 1-2 games for the next year, but a whole library of them. So for me, definitely Game Pass. Just the ability to game for that price and get a really good, consistently updated library. And games aren't just sticking there for a month, but, you know, a decent amount of time where you can play them while you're busy. I just really appreciate that being a thing that exists. That'd be my pick.
Mine be ease of entry into the industry, from whether it be independence or whatever. Person can make a choose your own adventure game pretty quickly. They can make something with RPG Maker, and then you can go more and more. And we see now Falconeer, which was an exclusive for Xbox, was one guy. That's pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, it's showing that, you know, it's more about your time than it is like needing to absolutely use somebody else for something. Now it's like, if you've got some time, you can make your own game. And Falconeer, for all intents and purposes, if you said was made by 5 or 6 people, I wouldn't bat an eye. So to me, that's very cool.
Yeah, that's a good one. Something we dislike, I mean,
microtransactions.
Yeah, I was gonna say pretty easy, right? Microtransactions.
No,
I think it's also companies lying.
Games like Hitman with online only, or online for no reason, like Hitman, where they kick you off, and you'd be like, why?
Yeah.
I don't like Chinese money getting involved in fucking everything.
Yeah,
so
that could corrupt things for sure. Yeah, for me, it's like the I know some of them have to kind of put on a shit-eating grin, but the comfortable lies that a lot of companies have made, especially recently, and the attempt of seeing how far they could go. You know, most recently it would be Xbox and Cyberpunk, just testing the waters. Can we get away with this? This idea that, this idea that there's never enough money is perplexing to me. And maybe it's because I don't bathe in like billions of dollars of cash monthly like these companies do. But I I'm just not a fan of that because I think there's a way to not even think. I know there's a way you can make your money, keep everyone employed, and just not be a fucking scumbag. But some of these companies will kind of reverse. They'll do nice things to swoon you, to make you make blind purchases, but not just to earn you as a loyal customer. And I don't know. Maybe I'm old fashioned, but to me, I feel like there's a way to do it right. And I feel like lately I've been seeing too much of the kind of tongue-in-cheek nature of the industry. Not a fan of it. Let's see who's next. Mac the Knife. Number 1, you get to create your own dream RPG. Are you going to do it with old school pixels like Chrono Trigger, but with a fresh take such as Octopath Traveler, or are you going to do full 3D? And if so, first or third person? Number 2, what's the elevator pitch of this RPG? Does it center around new mechanics, or is there a story concept you have in mind that would make for a stellar game? I'd love to hear your pitch. I will be opting out of this because I have a really good idea for a game, and I actually don't want to put it out there because I'm determined to make it happen one day, and when it does happen, I want people to be surprised. But I'm going to opt out.
I'm going to opt out as well just because that's too big of a question to not think about before you answer. You know what I mean?
Wow, we're not even in the same game. We're not in the same thing anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean...
I was so confused for a sec. Did Karak freeze for you? Like, I can hear him.
I think Karak's frozen right now for me.
Yeah, I heard his voice and I was like, does he think he's disconnected? I was so confused for a sec. Yeah, I mean, if you guys can't answer, we can just move on. But for me, I have an answer, but it took a months of writing and thoughts.
Oh, there he is.
Hello?
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
We can hear you, but you're frozen.
Okay, I can't hear you. Give me 1 second. My PC froze completely. Give me 1 second.
Oh, shit.
We'll move on to the next one in the meantime.
Cool.
Know It All writes in, if you could max out one and only one special stat in your real life, what would it be? All their stats would be fairly low, but just enough to function somewhat. So strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. Dustin, what are you maxing out? Because each of these you could think of 5 different things you could do. Max out strength, you're buff daddy, man.
I feel like if you max out your luck stat, I feel like that could be really useful. Because then if you just if you maxed out your luck and then played the lottery every day or something, or it just feels like if you max out luck, then all of your opportunities have a better chance of going good. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Because, right, you always want something in your favor. You have control, but if your luck is high, then there may be that boon there. I'm using boon a lot lately, but there's that bonus that may come into effect, or things may work in your favor even more so.
And it could even just be like, oh, I'm going to release this video. I hope that I get lucky and it gets 1 million views. And if you're maxed out luck stat, then maybe there's a good chance of that happening.
Yeah. It's definitely worth thinking about. I see. I always want to do charisma.
That's I thought of that too. That
just
was
to I don't like to make enemies. That's one thing I've always been about. I'm always about self-improvement, about being a good person, and always, if there's a disagreement or a misunderstanding, I want to talk. I don't want to fight or battle. Maybe that's a little too pacifist for some people. But fret not, I've taken martial arts, so if push comes to shove, my strength stat is maxed out. But seriously, I feel like with charisma, you stand let's think about job interview, right? You're sitting down. What's going to get you the job? Max luck or max charisma? Because it's not that's the only facet of life, but right, we're talking about things that you're going to go to a date, maybe. High charisma or high luck. Do you luck into the date like you're punching above your weight, or did you get the date you wanted because you were a good guy, you approached her, asked her out, smooth talker?
The reality of both of these stats will ultimately ring hollow because if you have max charisma, you may be able to get a job, but you're still a fucking idiot, and so you're gonna screw up. If your intelligence stat is 0, so then you're gonna lose that job. But the charisma will get you another job, job hopping. And
you'll job hop once a year probably.
The same thing would happen for luck. So
yeah, because he said just enough to function. Maybe you just do agility and you just become a professional athlete who's an idiot, and that's it.
Right. Oh,
so you can just get by with talent on the field.
True.
I might go with that just because that might be the best way to navigate life.
Could be.
All right, let's keep rolling on. By the way, for those who heard the Discord disconnection, Karak had a hard crash on his PC, so we will hopefully reconnect with him by the end of the show. We will see, though. Red Eyes White Wolf writes in, it baffles me how in this day and age, we still haven't seen a sequel to The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. I know Prototype was sort of a spiritual successor, but we need more Hulk.
Is this really baffling?
Yeah, it's not baffling. I don't know. I didn't have a strong adoration for Hulk. Personally.
I've never even heard of this game, to be 100% honest.
Oh, you would. I think you would like it. It's kind of
look it up.
It's a open world Hulk game, kind of a art style that's based off the comics, and you can do some crazy shit. You can break tanks and throw them around as weapons and jump off buildings, and it's wild, man. It
seems well reviewed. Okay, maybe I spoke too soon.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I am a believer that Prototype is better. I think it kind of evolves that a lot more because you have parkour. I think Alex Mercer is so edgy that he's interesting. And I liked all the powers that you got and how brutal the game was. I also liked how unnecessarily stupidly complex the game was in its did you ever play Prototype?
No.
Oh, you will absorb these targets of interest and you'll see their memories real quick. None of it will make fucking sense. None of it will make sense. And there's like hundreds of them and they all piece together this story. But still, to me, I like it way more just from a gameplay standpoint. I think it's a good evolution. So they've done 2 Prototype games, but nothing since. But yeah, Hulk. I would like a little more Hulk, especially nowadays. I'm surprised we haven't seen, unless I'm not thinking of one, we haven't seen like an open world that's been just fully destructible. Crackdown? Remastered, yeah.
Terrible game.
I remember.
Sorry, my PC crashed.
No, you're good. I explained to the audience. Yeah, for me, when I was younger, it's funny you bring up both these games have come up. When I was younger, those are 2 games I remember being very excited for: Prototype 1 and Red Faction Guerrilla. You know, just there was something about it, especially Red Faction. There is still to this day a good satisfaction of laying down those charges and hitting the right pillar and just watching the building go down. I mean, that is something that you don't see a lot nowadays. A game just based around destruction. But yeah, I think around that it's hard to imagine it has aged well. Unkempt Talk writes in. So we've seen that Mass Effect is getting its remastered trilogy. Do you expect a Dragon Age remastered trilogy to pop up before Dragon Age 4?
No.
No, huh? Interesting. I feel it's possible. I don't think there's enough time though for them to do that personally. Because the thing with Mass Effect is the next Mass Effect entry is too far away where there's not going to be something right on top of it. This Legendary Edition will have time to breathe and sell and grow. Whereas Dragon Age 4, I don't think it'll happen next year, but it could come as early as next year. There's a good chance that happens. So I think it would be a 2023 game, but point being is you're really going to be jamming these in. And they've already confirmed that it's been since 2019 they've worked on Mass Effect Legendary Edition. It's about a year and a half. So I got to say that I think for the time needed for Dragon Age, which they could just repackage it all together, just up-res it, call it a day, that probably would take less time. Because Origins, I don't think needs as much updating. I could be wrong. I don't think it needs as much updating. But yeah, it's something that would be cool. And I think they'll eventually do it, just not now or immediately after. I would love to see it, though. This one looks like a novel here, so get ready. I can't even read his full name. Let's see here. Introducing my shelf 869 writes in. Hey, Maddie and friends. Okay, so this might be another short novel here, but sometimes that's just how it is. That's totally fine, by the way. I don't care. I had an idea I thought would be cool and want to see what you think of it. See, the only thing is when you all write in novels, this is what happens. I will stutter and stammer over your sentences.
Doesn't seem like a podcast question, though.
Is it?
It's like a Patreon. Go ahead, just read it.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't read ahead. Okay. I had an idea I thought would be cool and want to see what you think of it. I know your schedule is more busy than ever, so I don't know if this would be adding too much, but I think it'd be awesome. So if you had a patron game session every so often, something like once a week or once a month or something. I know we've had Smash tournaments before, but I mean like a routine that we can look forward to. I know you've enjoyed Smite and Sea of Thieves, and those are great games to play with friends. And now Smite is cross-platform. Also, I've played a bit more of P5 Royal. He tapped into our last episode of Extra Slice of Ham, and it just keeps getting more interesting. I got through the castle, and one thing I want to say is I've been getting so lost while doing my daily life stuff. I just found just finding the staff office on my first day was way harder than it should have been. By the way, that's totally normal because there's no sense of direction, and the way Japanese schools are laid out compared to America, which I'm just assuming you're from there, are completely different. Anyway, I'll keep sharing my excitement with you as I continue playing. Thanks for the great content. Keep it up. Yeah, so what's happened with the Patron gaming sessions is what would happen is I would schedule it on a day and time, and then no one would show up because either only a couple people could do it and we wouldn't have enough to do a game, or it wouldn't be, just no one's schedules would sync up. So I ended up just canning it in general, and it's something I'm always open to where I can just like tab in. It's something I wanted to do more, but it's just hard to get everyone in sync on the same consoles, on the same game at the same time across multiple time zones. It does happen, and lately I know our server has been getting together to play a lot of different games lately. They just hop into a call, and they've been playing together, and it's something I want to join in. I want to say they were playing ESO, so that's something we've also played together on the Patreon before, but you are correct. I've definitely gotten more busy, but I'm not so busy that I can't play games with all of you out there. So definitely something I will personally look into and see how we can organize that more. It's just really a matter of timing and getting enough people on the same game and having them all buy that same game. With Game Pass, that may be a little easier. All right. Big Bad Wolf Hish writes in, "Hey, Maddie, hope you, Dustin, and Karak are having a good year so far. So, recently, I rewatched the entire Attack on Titan series since the final season released. Most of the time, I feel like returning to old things isn't worth it because with this, something else happened. I teared up and had almost the same raw emotions I had when I first watched the series, to the point where I appreciated it so much more than I already did. It got me thinking what games would have the same effect on me that I should return to. I was wondering if any of you had similar experiences and wouldn't mind sharing like any series or game. Thanks as always." So have you ever had something you've returned to and it's just like the first time?
Yeah, I think the key is not in games. Whoa. I would just say that it depends on the time frame. Like for me, it's like giving it enough time that I can forget most of the moment to moment action. Like eventually I'm going to rewatch the show Lost and it's going to be awesome. Actually, I'm probably ready to do that now.
We started 2 weeks ago. I'm really having a good time.
Dude. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, like watching Lost for the first time, incredible experience that I had before Holly and I got married, I think. So it was like a cool experience for us when we were dating. And so now it's like we've thought about this for years, like when we're going to do the Lost rewatch. And so I think it'll be, I would think, just as emotional because I can barely even remember it at this point. That's just how I am though, is that like, even things that are really near and dear to me, when it comes to movies, TV, video games, is I eventually just forget what happens.
If you spend like, say, a decade away from something, like for me, I haven't played Mass Effect 1 since I want to say 2013. So a lot of the ins and outs and in-betweens, they're kind of lost. I remember significant moments of that game and specific gameplay moments that maybe are irrelevant, but I can tell you why I like it. But yeah, I think it's totally normal to just kind of forget over time because there's your day-to-day priorities, and you've grown so much as a man, Dustin. So of course things are more important than Lost. But something that I would play that would have that same spark for, I mean, I guess God, to the shock of many, I'd probably have to pick KOTOR just because I don't know. What happens is whenever I play it, I do have that moment each time where I go, oh, this is in here, right? Like usually dialogue is where that happens. You go just like, damn, I didn't know that was in this game too. My most distinct moment of that was KOTOR 2. I was doing a replay of that, and it was on Nar Shaddaa. There's this homeless guy. I've told this story a bunch of times. There's a homeless guy that you can have like 6 different choices what to do with him, and one of them is just you use a speech check to convince him that he's lost and he should kill himself. And the game lets you do that. And I went, wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, I didn't know this was here. And it just gives you negative it gives you dark side points. And I thought, well, that's there. I had no idea about that. And it just kind of, you find that have that new discovery each time. Kind of same thing with Skyrim. But I don't know. I can't think of like a story. Like, I don't know if I went back to Persona 5 Royal's third semester, if I would have the same shock and awe. It would be more analytical, going, wow, they actually did this, that, probably. You know, it's its own beast. So I don't know if I would have that personally. All right, let's see what we got here. We got 3 more. Number 1 comes from Natural Calamity. What do you hope to see from the 007 game? Personally, I want to see a Nemesis-type system with many different enemies climbing up the ranks, taking out targets, so every time it is a different story, adding the same element of change like with Hitman. I don't think you're getting that because I'm pretty sure Warner Bros. Just fucking trademarked the Nemesis system. Didn't they? They like put a patent. That's what it was.
No, they had. They had patented it back then in the first one. People just found it.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And that's why we've had the Nemesis system in racing games. There's been a couple. They just have to call it something different. There has to be some adjustments. But
what games did have that?
Grid, or the newest racing game from Codemasters, actually.
Dirt 5, I think.
No, the other one. I reviewed it too. Not Grid. Was it Grid? Maybe it was Grid 2.
Oh.
But anyway, it had what's called like the arch enemy system, and all it really was a cheat for them to smash the fuck India and not get in trouble. It really didn't work well, but there's been that, and then the Codemasters also has the Indy game, the 2010 the Indy Racing Indianapolis 500, and that one also has enemy teams, and the teams will become your enemy as you continue to race against them. So it's not that you can't; it's just you can't call it Nemesis. And I would assume some of the graphical presentations and the way certain things are done, most companies will work around it. But
interesting. That would be cool. Yeah, that totally explains why when Shadow of Mordor came out, everyone thought, oh, Nemesis is the next big thing that
it's going to be in everything, right?
Yeah, and it never was. Now it makes. Right. I always wondered why, and now it makes sense. I thought they just had a technical masterpiece that no one could replicate, but
I think companies just don't want to worry about possibly getting in trouble. So unless they're like Codemasters, who's like, listen, this is a racing game. It's not going to. Yeah, exactly. Why bother? Because Batman would have really benefited. Imagine Batman, where you're playing Batman against a street thug, right? And you knock him down, and he becomes a named mini boss, Little Freeze instead of Mr. Freeze, whatever. You know what I mean? But you could. That would be incredible to be making, because of the battles being, generally making your own bad guys, and it hasn't been done. And I would assume some of it is that.
Yeah, dude.
Not that game, because that's
with 007 though. I don't know what to expect with 007. I love the creativity and the openness of Hitman 3 and just the Hitman series in general, because now I'm going back to 1 and 2's maps. But I imagine 007 would demand something different. So I guess more gadgets, more tools to, instead of like the levels being the tools themselves, having them be more interactive. So then you could use different gadgets that 007 is going to infiltrate an area with. So more kind of gameplay freedom in that way. That's probably the best answer I've got, because otherwise, I don't know if they want it to be stealthy or they want it to be, guns blazing at times. Like how much do they want to make it something along those lines? Like, I don't even know what they would actually be going for.
For me, I think that I hope that they just, and I don't think this would be the case, but I hope that they make it not super serious, like more like older James Bond than the Daniel Craig James Bond.
Yeah, I would absolutely. Otherwise, it's just going to feel like a shooter if it's a Daniel Craig one.
Right. Because like that's someone, I said something like this on Sacred Symbols, and someone was like, James Bond, the action comedy, like making fun of the fact that I said that the movies are funny. I'm like, dude, it is funny. Like James Bond, like blows something up and then like adjusts his tie. You know what I mean? Like
he tells everybody he's a spy. He's the world's worst spy. He's like, I'm James Bond. So yeah, no, I agree with you. Imagine back in the day with like, I was a Roger Moore fan. I don't know if you mean all the way back then, But remember the names too, like Octopussy and like slightly ridiculous.
What?
Yeah, that's the name of one of the movies is Octopussy. Like imagine like having slightly, a little bit more sexual, a little bit more goofy, a little bit more like that kind of stuff. I'd be all for that. I think that'd be awesome. Shooting's got to be fixed though.
There's a clip from that movie where he's dressed as a clown.
Roger Moore, yeah.
So like the movies, it's clear
he kills
that
a guy with a sliding door, Dustin. He kills a guy with a like a store door. Somehow hacks it and it kills him. Yeah.
Right. So cool. Don't take it too seriously. Take the funny parts of Hitman, because as I've said before, I really think that Hitman is like a low-key comedy game.
Yeah, for sure.
Low key. Yeah. Like it's they literally give you a clown outfit.
Yeah.
And he jokes around about it as well. I mean, I escaped as a baboon one time in one level. You escape flying on the back of a
his dialogue when I handed a woman a poison drink, he's like, "It's to die for," and I'm like, "Oh,
yes."
Oh, dude, yeah, it's so cheesy. All the escapes, by the way, are goofy. A lot of the escapes. There's one where you get on one or two where you like ride a dolphin. You leave on a dolphin. So in the Florida level, there's one particular place where if you leave near the water, you fucking Hitman rides off on a dolphin. Like that to me is obvious that they're cool with that.
Dude, there was a challenge in that level where you hit a guy with a fish into the water and you complete the challenge. I was just like, dude, they got a sense of humor, so I think they'll be fine. It's about how they approach it. I don't know if they're going to take the Hitman template and just put it on 007. I wouldn't mind that, but I know people would want more. Because I just like that system. They got replayability, challenges baked in. That stuff's awesome to me.
Dude, so Karak, have you seen Live and Let Die?
Oh, dude, yeah.
I've never seen it, but I'm watching this clip now where like this guy literally explodes. Like he gets like something in his stomach and then he like flies out of the pool.
I'm telling you, man, those older ones are like No One Lives Forever. Did you guys ever do that shooter, the Nulf series? With Kate Archer, some of the best shooters ever made, No One Lives Forever 1 and 2, and it was a female Bond. And they are incredible shooters made by Monolith. And it was very jokey, like her lipstick bomb, instead, like, so she put on lipstick and then you could like put it on the side of a building. It would blow, like all these kind of gadgets, that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, No One Lives Forever is in IP hell, beyond IP hell. I believe the last time I checked, 16 different people own it. So it just won't be made. But the idea that a Bond could come and do the Roger Moore or Sean Connery was a tiny bit more serious, but Roger Moore, Dalton, Brosnan's fine,
Dude, I gotta watch this. This clip's amazing. I keep watching it over and over. This guy ascending and exploding is just like, I want to do that in this Hitman game. I want to shoot, like, put like, what is, okay, I'm trying to read the description here. But forces him to swallow a compressed gas pellet, at which point he bloats up like a balloon, flies into the air, and bursts.
And explodes, just like the balloon does. Dude, all of those amazing, are crazy, dude. Like that. It's awesome.
That's why I hope for this game then.
Yeah, mine too. And the shooting would be fixed. Those would be my two hopes. Because I do believe Hitman shooting is wow. At times.
Yeah,
pretty bad.
There's a specific challenge you need to do with the sniper in the China mission, and just it doesn't feel great.
Dustin, do you watch the Bonds? Do you own them? Do you watch?
I want to. I've said this before, but like I have like a passive interest in Bond that's like inside me to just like someone to be like, all right, it's time, dive in. And I think now's the time where I really need to go and like really immerse myself. I've seen some of them. But not like an extensive amount. So
they're all better than I like the Craig ones because but those are like Bourne Bond almost.
Yeah, they are.
Bond, right?
They're good. They're good movies though. I like them.
Right, which is fine. But if you're okay with cheese, man, some of the old Bonds crack me up. Like they'll give him an item that only works technically in the one experience he'll ever have. It's almost like a D&D game where they give you like a weapon and they're all it's impervious to ice or whatever, and you're like, well, obviously we're going to run into a character that spits ice. Like that is exactly what'll happen. There's one time where he gets a fucking amazing ring that does a ultrasonic sound that can break glass. And no lie, the entire movie goes by, and then there's one floor made of glass for no reason. He like puts his hand on it. It's like, and it shatters. And they play the Bond music like it's something he thought of at the top of his head. And you're just like, dude, he didn't think at all. It was, they can read the future. Like, that's why I like him, you know? And I think I think a little bit of humor would do well. Yeah. Definitely.
I'm sorry, guys.
Watch the deaths of Bond, or the deaths in Bond. There's a YouTube video where it's like 10 hours of just people dying.
My mind is being blown right now. I just watched a clip from For Your Eyes Only where they have a helicopter and they pick up this dude on a wheelchair with the landing gear, and then they flick him into
a big chimney. Yeah. By the way, that's where what's his name comes from. Dr. Evil is that movie. Dr. Evil from Austin Powers comes from that movie. Yeah.
Really?
Oh my God.
By the way, For Your Eyes Only, probably the best Bond movie of all time because of that kind of stuff. It's got motorbikes with like nails hammered through their tires so they can ride in the snow. There's just all kinds of crazy shit. It's a full-on movie like what you would play Call of Duty. And that's one of the things, I don't know if you guys know this, when the Call of Duties were originally created, once they got past Call of Duty with the World War II entry, and they were like, we want to make other Call of Duties, Bond and the weird shit that happened in the cutscenes, that was almost all inspired by Bond. They were Bond fans, and they were like, how do we make, and Navy SEAL fans as well, but they were like, how do we make it, a little over the top? That's why sometimes in those, you will get weird ways in which a character dies or something goofy like that. So.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch those. I haven't watched them since I was much younger because I used to be a Bond fanatic, man. Like, I used to grind the fucking games. So yours would have been
Brosnan?
I want to say, Brosnan? Yeah, because when I got into it, just time frame wise, this will help you probably. It was when Nightfire was coming out, so that would sound about right. But yeah, dude, oh my God, just me and my friends used to be obsessed.
Matty, I attached that clip for you to watch after the show. You have to watch it.
Definitely will.
So it's dumb because he's got the cat with him. And if you listen to the audio, he's like, Mr. Bond. It's just it's so dumb.
Yeah, I was listening. I didn't even hear it because I was, listening to you guys.
Oh yeah,
and I was just like, every once in a while, like for the most part, comments at this point do not bother me. They fuel me. That's why I always tell people. But like when someone was like Bond and action comedy, I'm like, yeah, it is. And so like seeing that clip just confirmed the fact that.
All you have to do is show that one clip, and that's it. It's over. Argument won.
Right.
Second question from Natural Calamity. What would you like to see from Indiana Jones game? An idea I had is basically you are Indiana, chasing after the artifacts that will in turn continue this possible story, but also act as collectibles. Example, you have a large map. Hey, Indiana, I got a lead on an artifact in this Lost Mayan temple. I think you should check it out, where there will be multiple artifacts to chase after at one point, giving the player agency and really making them feel like an artifact hunter. Well, I'm pretty confident it's going to be set in Rome, just based off the teaser trailer. So I don't know where you could go with that. I don't know if it's going to be like a collectible, because I get your idea, like just treasure hunting, artifact hunting. I don't know if they're going to, I don't expect them to take that route, just based off, if we're going to look at, say, Wolfenstein and see how Machine Games makes their titles, they kind of have a pretty straightforward, go get them approach, and then there are collectibles on the sides. And they have a couple of times where there's options. Like in 2, they try to introduce, like the stilts, or you could get under objects or over objects depending on what kind of body armor you were wearing and what leg upgrade you selected. I think there was stilts, there was, what were they? Maybe these were all just different body upgrades you could pick in total. I don't think there was just leg upgrades and body upgrades, but it's really about how you get from point A to point B. So I feel like it's going to be, and I could be wrong. I feel like it could just be based off Wolfenstein, more linear with more options on how you do things. But what I would like to see personally is just remake Emperor's Tomb. It's a great game. Fucking
I just
awesome
hope
game.
That, when I'm playing Indiana Jones, I really feel like Indiana Jones, have all the exaggerated swagger of a middle-aged white guy.
Yeah, right.
What is that from?
That's the...
What is that meme from?
So in the GameSpot review of Miles Morales, the guy who, the reviewer, which he is black. he said that Miles Morales had all the exaggerated swagger of a black teen, and everyone thought that line was just quite silly and funny.
Why is that brand new? Because I've never seen that meme until yesterday when I did a review.
Oh.
Yesterday, it's all over my channel, and then it was on a tweet today. And it was like the exaggerate. I'm just like, I have no clue what. Oh, you know why? Because they just announced Miles Morales sales, didn't they? Did they? I think they just announced how well. Yeah, 4.1. Yeah, that's why. Because I was so confused what that comment was from.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't think it's that. I think the meme that it's become is funny. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, right. Whatever. Well, yeah, because this wasn't even that. It was like somebody said something in my review. Like the exaggerated swagger of a teen werewolf for the werewolf review. Like it was obviously just adding words to whatever.
Yeah.
What do we got, Maddie? I gotta roll up here in the next like 10, 15.
One more question.
5. Okay.
One more question.
It's not even a question that would, it would maybe pertain to Karak. A little bit.
Oh no, I want to wrap it up. I got 15 before I gotta go.
Yep. I got you. Introducing my shelf writes in again. I hope this makes it in before you're done recording. Another Persona question. Do you play with English or Japanese audio? I've been doing Japanese audio since I just feel it was meant to be played this way. Just curious what you pick. Whatever you prefer. I go with English because the English voice acting is good. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Japanese voice cast because they get pretty top talent for Persona since like 3. Really, they've had like really great talent in that series. So I just go with English, lets you focus on what you hear and you can look at other details rather than reading the translations and all that stuff. But that's just me personally. Dustin,
right.
as a Persona vet, English?
I am, when it comes to Persona, I use the dubs, the English version. But when it comes to anime, I'm all subs all the time. So I don't know. I can't really explain it. Something about Persona, I think it's like you said, Maddie, is that it's just like not having to have that little bit of a barrier with reading kind of helps you connect more to it. Since there's so many other things going on, I feel like it's easier with an anime since it's just like consuming and not interacting, know?
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
But yeah, they do a fantastic job with Persona dubs specifically. Other games, I would maybe consider doing the Japanese instead. Specifically, this is such a weird one. I really want to, when I play Breath of the Wild again, I'm going to play it in Japanese. And it's going to be like a Studio Ghibli movie or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know.
You already know my answer, man. No subs ever.
I respect
Always
that.
dubs. Always dubs.
I respect the dedication to the dubs.
It's terrible sometimes, but I can't understand Japanese, so it's better than not being able to understand it. And I just don't want to have to look down. I have a pretty big. I think another thing people don't realize depends on the size of your display. So if you're close to the display and you have subtitles and you're doing this, that can actually be sort of a brain killer. And I am actually pretty close to my display when I play games. So for the most part, I would rather hear it, even if it is bad.
Rock on. All right. Well, that's all the questions we've got. That'll wrap up episode 288. So we appreciate those of you who have got this deep. If you did, you can leave
hashtag dubs.
Yeah, hashtag dubs.
Or dub versus sub.
That's exactly what I was trying to think. It would versus fit. Of course it would. Yeah. Yeah, dubs versus sub.
Perfect. All right. So if you got this far, let us know on Twitter. Our handles are at G27status, at DustinCanFly, and at Jeremy Penter. Go ahead, tag us. Let us know what you think, or put it in the comments, whatever works best for you. And we wish you a great rest of your week, and we will catch you all next Friday if you're a patron, or next Sunday if you're listening on free feeds. All right? Take care, and we'll talk with you soon.
See you later.